Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We are your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Patriot Gallery is a very innovative mother. If you have never had a bad day and still lived with your sibling in your 30s, I commend you, and I'm very happy for you. There are times when we have tried to tell you that Leah and I do have disagreements, to which many of you have said, no, that could never happen. We know you far too well, and you are so kind and sweet and two perfect angels. And we have just kind of let it just shrug off, like let them believe what they want to believe. However, if you were lucky enough to be here for the 34 seconds that our mother decided to stream live because the show was set up while we were arguing, and my voice was the one at the closer to the bottom of the steps.
It was just louder.
And I am louder, far louder than Leah. Then you heard 34 seconds, and then my face of, oh dear, she actually did do it, down. And so now we were picking up the pieces of said argument. And
it was over nothing.
And it was over nothing.
Nothing.
But you would have thought that one of us had chopped the other's arm off. Or something worse. I don't know what other kind of
wrecked the car.
No, because I think honestly, if that sort of thing happened, we would be really gracious.
No, we only argue over things.
We only argue over things that aren't serious and not important at all. Because
when serious things happen, our maturity kicks in.
Give Patriot Gallery a round of applause, because out of the I'm 36 years old, going on 37 here. My entire life, her being able to get us to quit arguing has been hit or miss, only because it's been so fervent. And this one worked. Definitely worked. We actually have gotten to the point where, because my Uncle Jack on his phone previously, or sometimes goes live. And we never know. And so we always, when we're in the middle of arguing, we've started jokingly saying, Uncle Jack's live, because we were like, if someone actually were to hear, like you did, the 34 seconds, the illusion of our perfection would be shattered.
And you can't.
It doesn't work.
You cannot see the man behind the curtain,
right?
Baby.
Yeah. Rip Baza says, you girls having domestics? I don't believe it. Lance Lucifer says all is forgiven. Thank you. Really, our apology needs to be more to the people that live in our house than to you guys, because you only heard it for 34 seconds and they probably heard it for 15 minutes. There, and the dogs too as well. They don't handle stress. And so if we had a caring, compassionate bone in our body, we would not, just for the dog's sake.
It usually goes like this. You hurt my feelings. No, I didn't hurt your feelings. Yes, you hurt my feelings. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear your apology. You didn't apologize right.
Right.
I didn't apologize, right? Well, let me show you how I cannot apologize then. Well, now you're really hurting my feelings.
Leah's actually just portraying exactly
my feelings.
How today
But now you're hurting my feelings. And actually, it literally is over hurty words. Hurty feelings. It is not even over mean things that are said on purpose. It's usually...
Rip Bob is trying to be very kind. He goes, Michelle, no one heard any argument on YouTube.
Yeah, well, I let a dog out to chase the chickens on accident. And she came out, and I felt like she was snapping at me. Okay? And this is all over a dog who did not kill a chicken and only chased a chicken for about 30 seconds. And that is what this is all about.
Streaky Bacon says, this will start again if you don't be careful, girls. He's so right. I'm sharing this on Facebook.
Let out to chase a chicken.
Oh,
and that is what this is about. I'm kidding. I'm not even kidding you. There is literally nothing underlying else this argument. I think I'm half asleep. Why would you be upset with me?
Okay, hang on. That's one thing, though. Did I say that at the beginning of the show? We have been working, I don't even know, probably 85-hour weeks. We don't get paid for all those hours because we keep dogs here, but we have been working so hard and getting no sleep for a month solid.
And what I heard Michelle say was, you are so stupid. How could you let the dog out? You know the chickens are out.
And I heard, and what I meant was, that was really stupid. No, that was really stupid. you must be tired. And in my mind, that's different than you are stupid.
But if she had said that,
but I didn't say that.
That was really stupid. You must be tired. I would have taken it and been like, ha ha. Yeah.
Okay. Britbot says, seriously, Michelle, I was waiting and no one heard anything at all. Well, then whoever said at the beginning, then they must have actually been joking and very perceptive, saying, we heard you having a loud argument, because that was exactly what was happening. And now you know. And this is a little side of, what is that, Big Brother show?
We could never do that show.
We could never do that show. We could never do. Hang on.
If we were with a bunch of other people,
we would be fine.
We would be fine, because like it's so. I'd be like, that person's stupid. Why would they act like that? Because it's easier when you're with other people,
right? But seriously, Patriot Gallery, I'm really sorry. It really bothers her when we argue, and I don't blame her. So
the dog. There should be a song about this. And then the dog chased the chicken. The dog chased the chicken. The dog chased the chicken.
And don't tell the owner, because they would be mortified that their dog chasing the chicken would cause an argument that would go on around the world.
Listen, the dog's been here for... We've had
She's
dogs
the
here.
Sweetest little thing.
We have found a way...
Where is she?
Listen, we found a way to keep the dogs away from the chickens for 8 days.
Yeah. And
then the last, 2 hours of a dog being here, I let it out. I let the dog out.
Tracy had said, poor Sean, because of the clocks going back this morning, he thought he'd catch your show today, and I hope you're up and running soon. Sean, I'm sorry that on the one day where the clocks go back and you think you'll be able to catch the show, and you didn't. And I apologize from the bottom of my heart.
The dog chasing the chickens.
And actually, we may have to cut the show short because the dog's owner's coming to pick her up. So let's get to the show.
We don't need to cut it short.
I'm really, really sorry that we are late today, guys. But if you're in the UK, you're joining us, and we're right on time.
I know. That's what I was thinking, actually.
We will hang on though. Pay attention, because next week our clocks go back. So if you're in the UK, just know this is a one-time deal. Next week it'll be at 6 p.m. again instead of at 5. Are you following? And if you're around the world, you have to do your own math. I only know the UK stuff.
Fall back. I hate when we lose an hour.
So many people have been saying this is the year, because everyone hates daylight savings. Mm-hmm. 2020 is the year. Just rip that Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Be done with it. Let's
it.
not fall back, or let's fall back and stay. How is it? Which one is the regular time? Springing forward?
No, actually, we fall back to normal time, to the regular
We'd
time.
have to just change everything. Like, things would have to start opening at 8 instead of at 7.
It would be better. And that's just the thing. I think we could deal with it. I think we would learn to live with it that way. All right. So, speaking of falling backwards, the UK has descended into what?
Stuart the Bread says, I think a good bare knuckle punch up settles things. That's not how we do it around here. That's not how we do it. Patriot Gallery thinks that we are punching each other with our words, and that's far.
Words.
You can't say that without saying Katie Hopkins accents when she goes
hurty words. Hurty words.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of falling backwards, now the UK should have learned better. They have descended into another round of crazy lockdowns, and with these crazy lockdowns, Wales especially has gone overboard and has decided, no, you can't buy anything that we deem non-essential. As Michelle said, if you're stuck inside, a pillow is going to be an essential item.
Right.
And they're covering up things. And
Nigel had shared a picture of them putting yellow caution tape over, cards. Cards are non-essential. Like, let's say your auntie has COVID. Sending her a card,
now
you have to make it. You have to make one.
All right, we need to turn ourselves on.
Mikey B says the girls have their own unique time zone, and that's true. The hands on the clock are a little mushy.
Home this afternoon ahead of the 17-day lockdown. There was little to look forward to. The circuit breaker
so depressing.
Across Halloween, bonfire night and half-term, just as the clocks go back. In supermarkets tonight, shelves were being cleared of non-essential items.
This is so ridiculous.
Oh
my gosh. No, but hang on.
Wait, but the irons, you can't...
Now, hang on. I gotta be...
They're taking the card. They're taking every single card out of the card.
Do you know how long it'll take for them to put those back?
That would be a nightmare job for me. I don't even want to be paid to do this.
Hang on, though. With the irons... kind of with them on that. That's kind of non-essential.
Well, then you just ask people not to buy them. You don't have to take them off the shelf.
Right.
And the cards,
I feel like
put a sheet over them.
This is as petty. This is as petty as our argument. I want to compare every story we do today to our argument. Okay. This is how petty. This is complete pettiness. This is not pettiness. Exactly
what wasn't allowed to be sold.
These are decisions being made under extreme conditions, being made very quickly, but we're doing our very best to make sure that everybody has all the information they need.
In Pontypridd, the hair art company was booked solid as customers rushed to get in before the 6 p.m. deadline.
I totally understand the reasons behind it, but it's just such a difficult time at the moment for businesses.
Communities
I don't understand
already
the
hard
reasons
hit
behind
by
it,
this
lady.
crisis are now facing another grim test.
They've struggled to cope with social distancing, your hairdressers, your opticians, the shops, and now they're going back into it for another 2 weeks. They really, really are going to struggle very, very hard, and unfortunately I think we're going to see a lot of people losing their jobs.
For attractions like Plantasia Zoo in Swansea, this sudden enforced closure is a disaster.
Next week, half term, is actually our busiest week of the year. For lots of attractions it's the same, and that income actually takes you through the next couple of months.
Tonight, non-essential shops like this children's clothing business were facing up to another lockdown, hoping they can continue to survive through their websites.
I suppose with us, you are able to purchase the items online, so you don't have to go to a shop. It's about staying safe at the end of the day, isn't it?
The toll on people's
But are people going to
livelihoods
buy
and
from your
mental
shop
well-being
online,
of
or are they
this
going to buy
circuit
from
breaker
Amazon?
will be considerable. The Welsh Government hopes, though, this short-term pain will yield a longer-term gain, bringing down the infection rate and salvaging some semblance of normality at Christmas.
No.
So, Howling Mad Becky Williams on
Working from
Facebook
home
says, 9 days to know if we will open or close. Where are you at, Becky?
The order where possible, all non-essential businesses are now closed, and that includes the entire hospitality sector. Tonight there is a very eerie feeling as towns and cities across Wales are closed down and an enforced hush descends in the hope.
This is they think that they're going to shut them down in order to have things opened by Christmas.
No, it doesn't work that way. What's going to happen is you're just going to be shut down for Christmas. No Santa, no nothing.
This lobby should be full. It's not going to be. It's scary times.
Just a stone's throw from the National Rugby Stadium, Cardiff's Angel Hotel should have turned over more than $3 million since March. Instead, just like almost every other hospitality business in this pandemic, the manager feels like he's in a long, dark tunnel with no light at the end of it.
It's such a buzz here on Rugby Day. You'd have 60, 70 staff on site. We're now down to a core team of 5. Half the staff have already been, unfortunately, furloughed and been made redundant.
At 6 p.m, the bars and restaurants of St Mary Street cleared their terraces and shut their doors. Households are now prohibited from mixing indoors or even outdoors. And despite having the lowest infection rates of any of the 4 nations of the UK, the devolved government has followed its scientific advisors and ditched local lockdowns in favour of a national firebreak.
Wow.
Well, what the modelers tell us that this will get us through to Christmas. If we act now and act decisively, we will be able to sustain economic life and the health service through to the Christmas period.
Really?
Chepstow is one of the many communities which straddle the Wales-England border. The likely cost of this firebreak lockdown in Wales is estimated at more than $650 million. And that's a big ask in a town such as this, so close to the relative freedom on the other side of the border with England. But the Welsh Government estimates that not locking down could cost more than 6,000 lives.
So I live on the Welsh side of Chepstow, and my 2 daughters live on the English side of Chepstow. So this is very much our farewell breakfast for the next 2 weeks. We're not going to be seeing each other because of the Welsh lockdown.
Will financial penalties, which start around $75, be enough, though, to deter people from escaping to the other side of the river?
I'm
they're
sure
not
about
wearing
escape.
masks.
Escape seems to be quite a kind of, no one's escaping from anywhere. I think they might go for a stroll.
At the root of all this is the need to protect the finite resources of Wales's hospitals and their staff, still reeling from the first wave of the pandemic.
I found one of my colleagues in tears the other night when we split our unit back to a COVID unit and a non-COVID unit, because we can envisage what winter's going to be like, even in a scenario at the more benign end of the spectrum.
In diverging from the local and regional lockdowns preferred elsewhere in the UK and Europe, the Welsh are acting early and hoping to reap the benefits. But with the full impact in terms of jobs...
My question is, are they treating people with hydroxychloroquine, the Z-Pak, and zinc?
Right.
Because doctors here in America who treating early, they have had, one doctor, he keeps a tally. He's had over 2,000 patients test positive. He's treated them all with that regime, and he has lost no one.
Wow.
No one. And so, to me, it feels like they are shooting themselves in the face, actually. And the WHO is like, there's one country in Africa that's touting some sort of herbal remedy, and they're saying, well, go ahead and try it. Rather than hydroxychloroquine, which has been around for it's been around for a couple hundred years, but it's been around safely as a drug for 60 years. We do know that the antibiotic Z-Pak is just fine. Why not just give it a try, give it a whirl, and see how people do?
Right.
It absolutely makes no sense that with all the treatment options out there right now, that they're not treating early, that they're not seeing these great results, that they're not, instead of, what I would like to say is, if prophylactic hydroxychloroquine it is effective, then why not, instead of locking down, just encourage everybody to take hydroxychloroquine? And I've heard doctors say that if everyone took hydroxychloroquine, then COVID would die out.
Exactly. And
because it wouldn't have a host to go to.
But even if that was only halfway true, it would be worth doing.
Oh.
It would be worth doing. Mikey B says, if a business wasn't essential, the market wouldn't use it. Therefore, every existing business is essential.
You're absolutely right about that.
And my question is, they called it a fire break. Okay?
Until what? Like, winter's still going to keep...
Well, listen to this. Supposedly. Now, we know it didn't come out of the fish market, but let's go back to that fish market scenario, right? Like, let's say, like...
While she's talking, I'm going to play the protest against the Welsh lockdowns.
Let's say,
let's see.
A handful of people get it, like 5 people. And it spreads around the world with just 5 people getting it. Your fire break would have to make sure that not a single person... Okay, not a single Welsh person, and you would have to lock down anyone coming in, right? Am I making sense? Mm-hmm. If just a handful of people from a fish market, they say, we know it came from the lab, can spread it to the entire world. What good does a fire break do if you don't literally lock down your whole country and get it down to 0 patients?
I want you guys to look at these people in Wales who have no masks on during their Bill Gates is evil, my body, my choice.
What else are you supposed to think when they don't
5G?
When they don't encourage the one effective cheap treatment?
Yeah.
What you're supposed to think after that is that it's planned. I'm not saying it is. Y'all know how I feel about that. But that's what they want you to believe.
You've got a whole family.
Their actions tell you they want you to believe this.
A whole family here without masks. The daughters.
Good for them.
Aww. United we stand. Unite for freedom.
So they called it the Unite for Freedom rallies all over the United Kingdom. Sky News, you know what their article said about the London one? Hundreds of protesters show up.
These people have no masks on. I am so proud of them.
That was the last party we had ever.
And Stuart the Brit says, in Wiltshire we are sane. Becky on Facebook says, essential to whom? Because small business, I'm sure, would say that being able to go to work and earn a paycheck is indeed essential to them. And that's the thing. It's like, unless they're sending you massive amounts of money to stay at home, but not only that, like, they have to pay your business's insurance, they have to pay your business's rent, they've got to pay your business's credit cards.
Yeah.
You know, you can't destroy an economy to save supposedly 6,000 lives.
They're going to make a movie about this with all the cops with masks on, with people without masks on. You know that, right?
Right.
They're going to have to.
So, Leah, what was it last night you were saying that you read an article questioning where has the flu gone?
98%. Guess what, guys? COVID has eradicated the flu.
Around the world.
Cases of the flu are down, not 1%, 2%, 10%, not even 50%. Cases of the flu are down 98%. 98%. The flu has now been officially eradicated. If you got 2%, it's eradicated. You only have 2% of flu cases.
Now, we do know that the flu kills, what was the percentage of the roughly?
Well, the R naught on the flu is actually getting to be the exact same as COVID.
So what I'm saying is...
Well, that's the transfer rate.
I'm just saying that they were roughly similar. I think COVID was higher than the flu, just a little bit. But if the flu's gone and COVID takes the place of the flu as far as deaths, then we don't need to shut down because we didn't shut down for the flu. Am I making sense?
I think you're making sense. So what they're saying about the flu versus COVID is that under the microscope, they split off into two different. One looks in a different geometric shape than the other. But I think I don't know if it was Patriot Gallery or Michelle who said they don't have. I think it was Patriot Gallery who said they don't have the complete DNA sequence for COVID. Like, they can't really identify it.
That you have it.
Yeah.
Right.
But they think that they can.
Our cousin Tim says, once again, another scam by the left to keep our American and other patriotic countries' spirits down, control the people, control the outcome. I think they are trying to make a global depression. Population control, the left has always talked about how we cannot maintain human population growths. I still think the virus is a fake call me a conspiracy theory guy, but it makes too much sense. Fear controls people. No more lockdowns. It's going to crush what's left of all small businesses.
So, but what I absolutely love about this group of people is that they are my people. Like, it's not even like a religion. You know, the David Icke people, I'm like totally with you guys. Like, you can do your reptilian thing, but like, no to 5G, say no to a cashless society, my body, my choice, no vaccine. These people are not burning the businesses down because they want the businesses to continue on.
Right.
This is what a peaceful protest looks like. They are literally protesting for what you should be protesting for, which is your freedom. Which is your freedom.
Exactly.
The BLM protests are a fake form of protest because it's just supposedly about the 10 people who were killed by
you'll notice these
police.
people are not going to destroy businesses because the whole point of the protest is to save businesses.
That's what. Yeah,
Did you just say that?
Just said
I was
that.
reading a comment. I'm sorry, from Periscope from Smile Point. Such BS. The government is purposefully trying to destroy the middle class. Exactly every standard flu is being counted as COVID.
They're saying, yeah, because here's the thing. They're giving people. They're saying that people are COVID. Even just by symptoms. And the people in Wales, what is it? You guys tell me this. Because in London and in England, people are wearing the masks. But the people in Wales are not wearing the masks at all. Like, I haven't even seen one of these people in the protest wearing a mask.
From what I understand, though, now,
what is it about them that makes them
somebody's
different?
going to have to explain this to me. Our UK people in the chat here. From what I've gathered from you guys over the years, and I do not agree with it, but this is my perception of what you're trying to say, is that the Welsh are more...
That's not what I meant to do.
A lesser class? I mean, you guys really don't like the Welsh. This is what I get in the chat, all right? And I don't believe that they are a lesser class. They all look identical to you guys in the UK, so don't go giving me that garbage. But that's and I'm just kind of wondering if maybe they're more... back to the earth type people, you know, we're the Welsh, you don't tell us what to do, kind of maybe a little bit more like Yorkshire people. Scruffy, like, we're, you know.
Right, so I just got home, and as promised, I stayed out of trouble, And some of you obviously watching that might agree with a lot of things that people were saying. Some of you might not agree. The point of it is that I went there to obviously report because the mainstream media are nowhere to be seen. You've had obviously certain outlets.
Yeah, the mainstream media nowhere to be seen. And that is Maia Tausi. He's got almost 200,000 subscribers and he's very famous in the UK. So I want to play for you the only people who are going to cover this in a...
Okay, Rip Ozza says, Michelle, the Scott, Welsh, Irish, and English argument is just banter. Okay. It's just banter, Mikey B said. We make fun of their sing-song voices. All right, very good. Now you got to make that clear because the people in the United States are going to be like, wow, y'all really hate the Welsh. You really...
So what is it about the Welsh that makes them stand up stronger inside?
The Welsh are tough. We never defeated them, says Stuart the Brit.
That's what I was getting at. I think that they're a tougher breed.
I might have to go there.
Because if they have not one person, like it's a universal thing, we're not going to be wearing the masks.
Right.
Okay, because the people in the UK who are protesting the lockdowns, 50% of them, even more, are wearing the masks. But I was shocked to see the Welsh people out there like, I'm not wearing a stupid mask. Like, to me, I just feel like William Wallace rising up. I know he's Scottish, but like it's like the same thing. And then you got the same blood in these outsiders here in Australia who are probably descendants from the Welsh. And they're the only ones who are covering this the right way. And I just love Sky News so much for their outsiders and the way that they do have lefty and they do have liberal coverage of things, but I love the way that they're covering it. So the
St.
lockdowns...
Mark says, come on, the Welsh have a strange accent and a strange language that is devoid of vowels. I guess that's what you guys have. Welsh is a Saxon word meaning foreigner. George says it's just bantering. Okay.
Neil is a great friend of this show. He's spoken to us over the years about Brexit, about Boris. And he's there now as lockdown lunacy gets even more out of control in Britain. Boris seems to have lost the plot. Lots to chat about. He's stayed up especially late at night on a Saturday night to chat to you here on Outsiders. Brendan O'Neill, welcome back to Outsiders. How are you, mate?
Hi, Ryan. How's it going?
Yeah, good. You look like you're in lockdown there. Have they started turning the lights off across the country? Is that what's happening?
It's incredibly dark around here, yeah. Keeping my lights low.
Now, Brendan, tell us the latest. We've seen some footage of
Yes, you are seeing Lauren Southern is now an Australian newscaster. Supposedly she's...
That's Lauren Southern?
Yes, she's Canadian. Yeah, she's got a 2-tone, 3-tone, 4-tone hair.
She doesn't even look like herself.
Yeah, she's got some work done.
That cannot... She had face work done.
I think that's why she went into hiding for a while. But anyways...
Lauren, don't mess up your face. But it was great the way it was.
Anyways, she is now living in Australia and is a newscaster for Sky News.
But she doesn't look like
herself. Supposedly she has ancestors who are Australian, and that's why she's there. But, yeah.
I think Wales seems to be your version of Victoria, where they've gone completely bonkers. But tell us what is happening in Britain at the moment and what it's like for the public there. We've just got some footage up there of these shops where they've crossed off everything. You're not allowed to have certain products. It's totalitarian rubbish.
Kitchen towels, because you don't need to do dishes under lockdown.
In Wales is psychotic. There's no other word for it. It is absolutely
no pots and
deranged.
pans,
Wales
no cooking for you.
Lockdown for the next 17 days.
But if you can't go out to eat, don't you think pots and pans would be deemed essential?
Right.
The country.
But the liquor and the candy's fine.
Country, people can't go to work. All non-essential businesses have been shut down. And the most perverse thing they've done is that they have gone into supermarkets and taped off all non-essential items, which includes books, apparently, birthday cards, clothing. They've decreed,
must go naked.
Wisdom, the government of Wales, that these are non-essential items. And this is the situation we've now reached. We've now reached the situation where bureaucrats are dictating to the people.
Did you get to vote on
what
this?
Is essential and what is not.
Can we
essential,
vote on it?
It's stopping them, preventing them from buying books. They've essentially banned books in Wales. Quite how buying a John Grisham novel is supposedly going to help spread COVID-19 is a complete mystery to everyone. But this is the lunacy of the lockdown, and it's getting worse and worse.
So, Brendan, I'd hazard a guess that it's a fairly left-leaning government in Wales, is it? Would I be correct there?
Well, there's lots of Labour Party figures in Wales, and they're in control of a lot of the country. And but Wales is only in a more extreme version of what's going on around the UK. Manchester and Liverpool, two of our great cities, now have really stringent measures. In London, you can't mix with other households. There's a 10 p.m. curfew on pubs and restaurants. And the problem is that the second wave, all the evidence suggests that the second wave of COVID-19 is far weaker than the first wave. Everyone says hospitalizations and deaths are going up in the UK. That's true, but they're going up very slowly. This is nothing compared to what we went through in April. And yet the economy is being shut down, normal life is being shut down, and the long-term consequences of that, I think, is going to be worse than the long-term consequences of COVID-19.
James. Putting aside the question, Brendan, of who the hell's business is it, what you buy, if it's any legal product, simple question for you. If the lockdown didn't work the first time in Britain to end COVID-19, why are they trying it a second time?
Well, that's the big question. We were told when the lockdown was first brought in late March across the whole country, we were told it would last 3 weeks. Boris Johnson said it was a 3-week lockdown that would just help the NHS. That's all it was designed to do. It somehow stretched on to 4 months. Now it's coming back in different versions in a patchwork of lockdowns across the country. And now the aim is not simply to alleviate pressure on the NHS, but to stop anyone from getting COVID, which is absolutely mental. You cannot stop a virus in its tracks once it's out. So this forever lockdown we're living under is completely surreal, and it's giving the authorities this extraordinary power over the most intimate parts of our lives. They're telling us who we can visit, who we can hug, whether or not we'll have a normal Christmas, whether we can buy books. The good thing about this second wave and second lockdown is that people are tiring of it. People have had enough of it, precisely, James, because they're asking the same question that you've just asked, which is, if it didn't work the first time round, why on earth should we believe that it will work the second time round?
Lauren.
With the new powers that we've given our states and the complacency of people in the face of them, do you think the world can ever turn back to normal after COVID?
Well, everyone's talking about the new normal, which to my mind is the most terrifying phrase of our time. The new normal is essentially permanent social distancing, everyone wearing masks all the time, everyone staying away from other people, living in a state of fear, waiting for the state to tell them what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. There are lots of people who would want to propel the world into this so-called new normal, this dystopian nightmare of constant control and constant fear.
Chinese-style control.
Unless we start pushing back now against these measures, whether it's in Victoria, in Wales, in parts of the US, then I do think the new normal fan club are going to be successful. So that's what's up for stake. I think that's a good question. How can we ensure that the world gets back to normal?
This is universal, worldwide.
Well, we have often talked as well about the culture wars, and I was on a good
pause right
piece
there,
of news
because I don't want to lose this thought, and they're moving to a different topic. One thing that he said right there, and I don't know if you caught it, waiting for the state to tell you what you can and cannot do.
Right.
And that right there is the crux of this whole thing. They want to create a mindset of, we wait until we are told that it is safe or that we are allowed to do X, Y, Z. And we're going along with it because we are told that that is a temporary permission that we're giving the governments, and it's a transition where we're being told that we have given that to them and we can take it back whenever we want, but we trust them enough to give them that status. But it is an illusion, it is not real, and it is not temporary.
So I'm going to try to explain this the best way that I can. So in California, Governor Newsom has just given out rules. I don't know if they're guidelines. I believe that they're rules, and I don't know how he's enforcing them for Thanksgiving. No more than 10 people. At your Thanksgiving. You must remain 6 feet apart from people at Thanksgiving. You must, inside a person's home, wear a mask when you're not eating at Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Okay? And Thanksgiving get-togethers may not last more than 2 hours.
So since you brought up the U.S., and I know this is our world news coverage, though, but as I'm sitting here and I'm thinking all this through, this is very real. It affects each one of us, and I have to think about it through the lens of, I live in the United States, and I know we're covering world news. But I keep thinking if Donald Trump gets elected, I know that he kept talking about the states. He wanted the states to be able to make these decisions, and they should, okay? But what I'm hoping is, if he does get elected, that whoever are his constitutional advisors will tell him, actually, these laws of mask wearing and shutdowns and all of that actually infringes on the constitutional rights of American citizens, because the number one thing that laws are not allowed to do, states are not allowed to enact any law that gets rid of your constitutional rights.
So Stefan says, I'm sick of wearing a mask. When I shop, I look like a bandit. They take the power. They do not give it back. You guys are right. It is obvious now that the government are a bunch of liars. And so one thing that somebody said recently that I really appreciated is they told us that to trust the experts, but which experts? Because there are experts who are telling you that, in Sweden, they have refused to set any lockdowns. They refuse to lock down. And they are operating just fine. It's the fear mongers and it's for the Great Reset. But I'm going to let you guys know something. You as freedom-minded people have to keep fighting back and doing the protests, and we're going to keep covering it. However, what you're going to see, and I want you to take heart, is that the liberals are being deprived of the things that make them liberal. Actually, what you're not seeing is that the plan of the left to try to gain control, they don't understand is they will never gain control of you. Yeah. Because you are red-pilled, and they think that their religion is going to be able to put everybody in a box, but this isn't Chairman Mao, and we aren't in China. Okay, we have the ability to get information out. We are divergent. If you're here right now, you're divergent, and there are divergent people all over the globe, and we are going to get the Chinese people set free as well. But what's happening are the liberals who are pulling their kids out of public school. They're homeschooling them. I just saw an article that said women are losing their careers because they're having to stay home and be with their children. Right. And the things that I have wanted people to do, hey, I don't want people sleeping outside of marriage. So now the liberals are going to be like, here's the thing, y'all who know better probably going to sneak around and make something happen. Right, because nothing's going to, you're not going to get COVID, right, probably. Wow. But the liberals will not do these sinful things because they are worried about COVID.
They're shutting down pubs at 10 p.m.
So they're shutting down the pubs so that people can't get drunk and party. They're making it so that households can't mix, which means that you can't sleep with people outside of marriage. It's amazing. And what they're doing, they're making the liberals detox of a lot of sinful ways. Really movies are not being made. Right. People are not going to movies. And so, on the one hand, they don't care. You protest because they're wrong.
Yes, do it.
But for them, it's a kryptonite. It's taking away the power. The reason that I know it's hard to understand. I know it's a big thing in your brain, but God works in ways, not mysterious ways, but in ways sometimes we don't quite get.
Your button, come on button.
No, we're fine. So, the liberals need this. You don't need it. So you fight it. They're not going to fight it because they need this, because they need to be deprived. They need to be told no because they have been living lavishly, licentiously. They have been filling themselves up with all kinds of sin, and they have been attacking Christians and attacking conservatives, and they're getting their just desserts. Right. Okay? They're the ones who are terrified inside of the virus. They're the ones who feel like if they wear the mask, they're doing a right thing. You should feel sorry for them, but recognize that that's their punishment right now.
Speaking of the masks, and I want to, again, this is kind of a little bit off topic, but it's really short. I think about when you see any kind of movie and you want to blend in, right? You put on the uniform that everybody else is wearing. Well, criminals wear masks so that they can get away with what they're doing. And I feel like the reason spiritually that they want us to wear masks is because they're trying to pull off the greatest heist in the history of mankind. Right. And that's why it's literally, you're seeing all these masks because they want to be covered up while they pull off the greatest heist in the history of mankind. But they're not going to pull it off.
Last week, and I want to keep bringing it up, the Great Reset. It is a societal reset. They want to bring in their Green New Deal, their money reset. Prince Charles has even said it. Most of these leaders are saying it. We can't, even Boris Johnson, as Nigel Farage was trying to warn you guys of, he is all of the New World Order.
Yes.
He said we can't go back to the old ways. We have to have a new normal. But he also said something that should freak everybody out. He says we cannot let this moment go to waste. So that's when he switched from, letting everything go, just
herd immunity to, this is a great moment. He has bought into the climate change thing, and he, in the UK, you guys are paying farmers like $173,000 a year, not dollars, but pounds to produce energy, and they're paying not even farmers or landowners 7 times the amount of energy that these windmills are actually producing. I wish I was in a business like that. All right, let's get back to this interview.
Kemi Badenoch, who's the Qualities Minister, who you would think would be some kind of woke cultural warrior. She is an absolute legend. She's tackled the whole thing of white privilege and all the rest of it head on. Have a listen to her here. So she's been speaking about the whole idea of critical race theory and how it should be abolished and how it itself is basically racist. Have a listen.
I've been told of white Black Lives Matters protests.
Okay, if you guys did not see this, just listen. This is epic.
Calling, and I'm afraid I apologise for saying this word, calling a black armed police officer guarding Downing Street a pet. That is why we do not endorse that movement on this side of the house. It is a political movement, and what would be nice would be for members on the opposite side to condemn many of the actions that we see this political movement, instead of pretending that it is a completely wholesome anti-racist organisation. There is a lot of pernicious stuff that is being pushed, and we stand against that. We do not want to see teachers teaching their white pupils about white privilege and inherited racial guilt. And let me be clear, any school which teaches these elements of critical race theory as fact, or which promotes partisan political views such as defunding the police without offering a balanced treatment of opposing views, is breaking the law.
Wow.
Brendan, what a legend.
Yeah, Kemi Badenoch is a rising star in Boris's government, and
she's
an incredibly intelligent MP, and I think the best thing about her is that she's not scared of the woke elites. She's not scared of the PC tyranny. She will speak her mind, and she will criticise Black Lives Matter, critical race theory, and all these other things that we're all supposed to bow down to, literally take the knee to. So she's very outspoken, she's very clear-headed, and lots of people in this country really admire her. I think the key point she made, which was so true, is that this poses as an anti-racist theory, and Black Lives Matter poses as an anti-racist movement, but actually it's rehabilitating racial thinking and rehabilitating the racial imagination through constantly telling us we have to think about race all the time, depicting white people as privileged oppressors and black people as permanent victims. It's a very divisive ideology, and I think it's great that a government minister is finally speaking out against it.
Hear, hear. Thanks, Brendan O'Neill. Thanks so much for staying up late to talk to us on...
Absolutely.
Okay, and I know it's totally off topic here, but I don't believe that I am the best looking person on the planet. Everybody looks in the mirror and sees all their own faults, but I have never looked in the mirror and thought to myself, I wish someone could take a knife and make it something other than it is. I feel sorry for her, pray for her, but I'm glad she has this job. I do like her voice. I like what she has to say. I like what she stands for. I just feel I kind of wonder a little bit if when your videos go that viral and people will say whatever they want, and I think that
it's horrible.
You guys have to watch whatever channel you're on. Don't even say things in joking. Don't say things about other people and their appearance, even in the chat. Oh, they're a man, or they, whatever you want to say. Don't do that, because even if it's in joking, you might make someone go into hiding for almost a year to fix their face before they come back into public when they're already beautiful. Stop it. Okay, move on. Sorry.
So, we're going to go back to, I'm going to show you some more of the UK lockdown protesters, but I'm going to go ahead and stick with the Sky News and talk about the latest Victoria measures, which are actually even more horrific than Wales, if you can imagine.
Brian Brown says the Great Freedom
about
Heist.
What's happening in the kind of COVID craziness, lockdown lunacy over there in Britain and in particular in Wales. But there's a really tragic side to lockdowns. We've talked about it many, many times on this program, and shame on people like Dan Andrews who insist on lockdowns. Just have a look at what lockdown is doing to this woman.
I've thrown I want my family through.
104.
This is my rights. Please help. It's cutting me to bits. I must see my kids. Time's getting on for me. I must see my children and make things like they used to be. Please help me. Help me.
I mean, that's just heartbreaking stuff. Another woman, an 83-year-old woman in Barnsley in Britain. Let's have a listen to her.
I think it's all ridiculous.
Oh, this was great.
We should never have been in lockdown. All the people
She went viral.
should have been helped and kept on safe. And all the rest of us, I'm 83. I don't give a sod. I look at it this way. I've not got all that many years left of me. And I'm not going to be fastened in a house when the government have got it all wrong. We need... How can we get the country on its feet, money-wise? Where's all the money? By the end of this year, there's going to be millions of people unemployed, and you know who's going to pay for it? All the young ones. Not me, because I'm going to be dead.
She's a Yorkshire woman. Tough broad, that one.
Right there. Then Boris Johnson, Scott Morrison, Dan Andrews.
Exactly.
Basically all the premiers.
Absolutely.
That is the kind of common sense the world needs right now.
You'll only find it in Yorkshire.
That is missing. And Lauren, we know, for example, well, tell us about the babies that died.
Yeah, we have 4 children, infants in Adelaide, who needed pediatric cardiac care that was only available in Melbourne or Sydney. Of course, Melbourne is the closest location, and normally they would be airlifted over there. Unfortunately, lockdown restrictions prevented that from happening, and these 4 infants have died. What was the point of saving them from COVID when there are other instances that they are far more likely to die from, that they did die from? This is a tragedy.
Of course it is. And it's a failure in leadership when you focus purely on COVID to the exclusion of all else. Here's a graph we'll just put up from the UK, admittedly, but it shows that the chances of you dying of things other than COVID, well, for under 1-year-olds, the chances of other causes, you're 564 times greater that you would die of something other than COVID. I think that tells the story there,
This
Lauren.
is the column.
But even when you get up to 85 years and over, you have a 9 times chance of dying of something other than COVID, James. It's just insane. And the way certain governments, particularly Victoria, are focusing on lockdowns is just insane. Speaking of which, I want to show you, and we've got our hats here. Let's not forget our Make Victoria Great Again hats.
Oh, I love them.
Let's just have a look at why you need to make Victoria great again. I want to play you this clip of Dan Andrews boasting about the latest totalitarian measure, which even George Orwell would find too horrific. Drones over your Barbie this AFL weekend. Have a listen.
How would you feel about a drone flying over your nearest park or near your home?
Well, I can fly drones over my place because no one will be doing anything wrong. We'll be following the rules, and no one should have any problem with that.
So, okay, no one has any problem. Drones over your barbecue, you know.
1984 was written as a warning, not an instruction manual. I cannot say this enough,
How far does this go? Are we all just going to be in what's that show, Big Brother? We'll all just
why don't we have,
I'm not doing it.
Why don't we have a telescreen? Why don't we have a big George Orwell telescreen, making sure that we've got the right number of people in our homes?
You're good.
Absolutely. I find it disgraceful. And well done to Josh Frydenberg for calling out Dan Andrews last week. We need more of that leadership from the federal government saying, because guys, ScoMo, you're the Prime Minister of Victoria as well. Don't forget it. Well done, Josh. Let's keep calling out and attacking Dan Andrews. It is a disgrace what is happening in Victoria. Make Victoria great again.
Make Victoria great again.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so not only that, but you have the Italians have been rising up against their health dictatorship as the country moves to a new lockdown. This would not be happening under a Salvini administration, let me tell you. Earlier this year, Italy became the first entire nation to impose the strict lockdown and social distancing measures when it was the first to see the major coronavirus outbreak outside of Wuhan, China. Now, we talked about this. We, on this show, were very keen to talk about Wuhan, to talk about Italy, to talk about these things, and to kind of even push for the lockdowns in the very, very, very beginning. But once information began to peter out, and to drip out, we could see, percolate out is what I'm more looking for. We could begin to see that something isn't right here. Something isn't right here. Something isn't right here. Now, they were putting people on ventilators. The ventilators were killing the people. We didn't know that. We know it now.
Right.
They weren't treating the people with any treatment. They said there's no treatment. Well, then we found out that hydroxychloroquine and an antibiotic really would have treated people early. And zinc. We know that in New York City we were talking about, and like, you know, Tucker Carlson says, when you get things wrong or when you have new information, then you reassess.
Exactly.
So with the new information from that insider nurse who said we're not treating these patients, we're putting COVID patients in with other patients, or we're spreading it, or people came into the hospital.
She even said, we're putting people on ventilators who don't need to be on ventilators, and it's killing them.
And they're just dying.
Right.
And so people were being killed, and that ventilator push was crazy because it was killing people. So going to Italy and people dying, people were dying on the ventilators. Okay. All right, so by the close of May, just as the United States took the lead globally in the number of confirmed cases, Italy's numbers had fallen and lockdown restrictions were dropped, with its daily infection rate remaining under control through the summer. However, Italy's case numbers just began to soar in September and into this month. Now, we talked about this again, but the rates of the flu aren't going up. We know that millions of people get the flu every year. Mm-hmm. So if you think that if everybody with flu symptoms is going to go get tested, because that's what they're telling everybody to do, right. And nobody actually got tested for the flu before. Very few, unless you ended up in the hospital. You just dealt with it because you're like, oh, I have the flu, right?
The flu numbers that we have had historically around the world are usually, what's the word? They're guesses. It's an estimate based on, they just are assuming these are probably the numbers.
So these anti-lockdown protests, I don't know if they are anti-lockdown protests or if they are just people angry or if they're anti-police protests or what is actually happening. Social unrest.
And this is in Italy.
In Italy. What we do know is that the elites are trying for social unrest. They are pushing for social unrest, and we do know that they are pushing for a societal breakdown. Over the weekend, the country saw a new record daily high. They said Reuters reports that COVID-19 cases across the country have risen 7-fold since the start of this month, jumping to 19,000 cases. But the question is, are these cases, are these hospitalizations, are these people actually dying? Or are they people now, because people are being tested? I think, this is just an anarchy thing. This to me is not a COVID-19 protest. This is an anarchy thing, because what you saw in Wales was a lockdown protest.
Right.
Okay?
Very peaceful.
Very, very, yeah. This is just a bunch of thugs out there. Looks like, a lot of immigrants too. And using the excuse, and Millie had posted that you have to watch it from November 3rd through January, the inauguration. The left is going to use protests to hijack it to try to foment a civil war. So these are anarchists. These are not.
That would be here in the United States or around the world.
That's in the United States. Yeah, these are anarchists. So naturally, government leaders are once again eyeing a total lockdown of the peninsula, but it's evident many Italians aren't having it. Prime Minister Conte has just issued a new emergency decree Sunday, which once again shutters all theaters, cinemas, gyms, and swimming pools. And further, bars and restaurants have been ordered to close by 6 p.m. every day because, as we said, COVID only spreads after nightfall.
Well, someone else, I think it was... Stuart the Brit, COVID is a magic virus. If you're standing up in a restaurant, you can get it. So you have to wear a mask. When you sit down, you won't get it, so you can remove your mask. Magic, see?
Yeah, in Rome, fireworks were shot at police trying to disperse the Central Plaza. The mayhem is believed to have been led by the right-wing Fierza Nova Party, which called for the population to resist what it called the health dictatorships and curfews. There is absolutely no reason for the violence, though. So, to me, this makes more sense here.
And this is still in Italy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is still in Italy. So, the Italians are rising up. Meanwhile, Italy's southern Campania region has moved to implement a total lockdown of the province, with its leaders using the rest of the country to follow suit. Italians here are fighting back. Crowds chant freedom, freedom, freedom. But you see more thugs in this crowd. I don't trust them.
St. Mark, I did give you credit for that comment. He's like, that was my comment. Yes, it was your comment. Did I say the wrong name? Either way, one thing that it's going round in my head as we're seeing all of this is back to Boris Johnson and Prince Charles and all of those that are saying we need to take advantage of this. I don't think it's taking advantage of a situation at all. I think they have created the situation to implement their Agenda 21 that they've been planning for I don't even know how long. And it's not going to work, guys. People like this are rising up. Their plans are getting foiled around every turn. They will not be effective. But just know, because I must have said the wrong name. I'm sorry, guys. I meant to say Mark. But anyhow, take heart. They're losing. They're trying to do this, but it's not going to work.
So, I'm going to take credit for Sweden bucking the trend.
Okay. You personally? Just you?
Because you want to make some of it? Because we have been telling people to stand up in Sweden. And the health authorities in the Sweden have refused to follow the rest of Europe by imposing the new coronavirus lockdown measures on their population, arguing that those beset by loneliness and misery of being isolated have suffered enough. Despite Sweden and other countries on the continent despite Sweden mirroring other countries on the continent with rising coronavirus infections, the government has held firm in refusing to lock down its population, weighing the untold misery and health impacts of isolation against the threat of COVID-19. The elderly have suffered enough. They have spent months being advised to avoid public transport, shopping malls, and other parts of everyday life. The result? Loneliness, misery. This is more than unpleasant. It's quickly translates into depression, mental health, and issues and mortality. We cannot only think about the infection control, said Lena Helen Green, Sweden's health minister. We also need to think about the public health. An important distinction: focus on the COVID on the exclusion of other conditions, and you risk lives, like you did in Australia. That was a horrible, horrible, horrible thing with 4 infants who were denied transport to cardiac facilities because of lockdown measures.
No, you're just killing people.
Helen Green's 21-page report also uncovered a decline in mental health that was likely to worsen the longer the recommendations remain in place. After deciding to take a herd immunity approach to COVID-19 at the start of the pandemic, Sweden was roundly condemned for not following the harsh lockdowns imposed by virtually every other major European country. Unlike the rest of the continent, Sweden's economy is also in a far better position to make a swifter recovery now. With this, I would have to say, with the caveat with Sweden, now could you gain a backbone when it comes to illegal immigration? And I think we might be on to something. So let me go ahead and play a few more of the videos here. I've got
Harold says, did the election of Trump and likely re-election cause the globalists to play their cards sooner than they'd have liked? I don't think so, because I think that the plan was for Hillary to get elected. They have the leader of the free world in their pocket, and then they spend the next 4 years from 2016 to 2020 getting all of their ducks in a row, and then they implement Agenda 21 and Event 201. So I think that was the plan. So I don't think they're playing their cards any sooner. I just think they're playing them sloppier.
Yeah, Agenda 2021. I thought it might have been a little soon for but they needed to get Donald Trump out. So I think that they did do it a little bit sooner. So here we have the anti-COVID protests in London.
You think like maybe the pandemic was meant for 2021?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah, in that sense, you would be correct.
Yeah, so I really appreciate the signs here. Peaceful protesting here in London.
And again, to remind you, we were told hundreds by Sky News.
A lot more.
Hundreds gathered. And this was all over. Horatio had sent us a video of an actual march, and in that march you could see it was thousands of people.
Yeah.
Thousands of people. That might even be the video.
Yeah, I know how to do the marble count thing. So like you grab a group, it's like 50, 50, 50, 50. Definitely thousands. Hey,
no, they're not wearing masks.
A lot are. Why do I talk so much about the masks? I feel like I'm going to get in trouble if I do. Like some pro-masker is going to come at me. Fauci says everybody should wear them. The reason I am anti-mask is because whether it's a flu or a cold or any sort of infectious disease, if you're going to go into a room full of people, and you're social distancing, if they are breathing, if they're saying stuff, those air they stays in the air and it goes down. But here's the thing: if you go through it, and even if it's still in the air, the air particles, even if it's still in the air, and you go through it, that's one thing. But if you go through it,
it will trapped in your mask.
Into your mask, especially cloth masks. So I'm going to go through it, and my body may be able to fight off a small viral load. Okay, or I'm in a room with somebody. My body can fight off the small viral load unless I'm up to somebody.
If your mask is acting like a Swiffer,
okay, that's a really good example. So let's say
picking up all the virus, just getting them stuck right there in your face.
So the difference is this: is a perfect example. So let's say somebody drops a bag of flour, and there's dust particles in the air.
Right.
Okay, then those dust particles or the flour particles go down to the ground, and you Swiffer them up. So, and then you put that Swiffer on your face. Is it better to walk through the dust cloud of flour, and how much is going to get in your nose and your mouth? But then, if you're Swiffering it up and you put that on your face, you've got...
What you've done is you're actually essentially creating a vacuum with your face, breathing the particles, and they might go past your face, but instead they're going to get stuck, embedded in your mask.
That's why I am anti-mask, because I believe that especially the wearer, I don't think it helps other people. I think that if you've got spittle and you're spitting and you're sneezing, you can stop your snot from getting on people, because snot is a bigger particle than the flu, right? So that would make sense.
But we do know that all of the boxes of the masks say that this does not help prevent from COVID-19.
Right.
It does not protect the wearer from, and we see that these people are wearing the masks thinking that it is protecting them, and so then they're not doing the other measures that actually work. Plus, like I said the other day, the number one thing they told us from day one is don't touch your face, don't touch your face, don't touch your face. And the reason why they said we don't like non-sick people to wear masks. The Surgeon General came out and said it, and Fauci came out and said it, and so many other people came out and said it, is because if you're not wearing a properly fitted N95 mask and you're constantly touching your face all day, it's more dangerous for you to get the virus.
Right. So let me talk. I want to talk a little more about the 104-year-old woman we just saw again begging to see her family.
I just feel like we should be forced to, if it was Ebola or something, everybody needs to have a gas mask. You need to have a properly fitted gas mask. That is the only kind of mask that's going to work.
So in a video shared on the Care Home Relatives Scotland group on Facebook, Mary Fowler says she is very well looked after, but she wants her family. And I want to play more of her.
There's more of it?
Yeah.
I'm very well looked after here. I want my family though. This is my rights. Please help. It's cutting me to bits. I must see my kids. Time's getting on for me. I must see my children.
How did she make this video?
Things like they used to be. Please help me. Help me. Please, please.
This is pitiful.
Help.
This is pitiful. Yeah, Harold says it's hard to watch.
That video was absolutely heartbreaking. I'm 100% with protecting the vulnerable, but where is their agency? We're telling old people and vulnerable people that they must be locked away for their own good. Where's their say in any of this? For some people, they might consider, what is the point in extending my life if I'm not allowed to see my loved ones? If I'm not allowed to live my life, what is the point of life? And I think we can't wait for a vaccine because, like you say, it's all an if. What if there isn't a vaccine? We can't live our lives like this forever. It's not okay.
It's not okay.
And anyone that thinks that it's okay, shame on them. Yeah. Just shame on them. You are a heartless person.
Sadly, Miss Fowler's video message pleading for help alleviating the isolation of lockdown is not her first. With her saying back in September she felt like she was in prison. We're shut down. We can't see our family. And I think when you're my age, you deserve to see your family.
You sure deserve to see your family.
Yeah.
I wish her family could break her out. Just like and the very fact that they probably can't just go in and be like, just drop her at the curb. Use social distance, go inside. We'll come and pick her up at the curb. So she's coming to live with me.
A disgraced former British government scientist who was forced to leave his post after breaking his own lockdown rules has said that people will die if social distancing regulations are suspended and families are allowed to spend Christmas Day together. With all parts of the United Kingdom under some form of social distancing rules which limits gatherings, media has reported that the public fears not being able to spend time with one's loved ones on Christmas. Asked on BBC Radio 4 Today program on Saturday what would be the consequences of relaxing social distancing rules on December 25th, epidemiologist Professor Neil Ferguson said it risks some transmission and there will be consequences of that. Some people will die because of getting infected on that day. But if it's only 1 or 2 days, the impact is likely to be limited. So that is really a political judgment about the cost versus benefits. Now remember, Professor Ferguson of the Imperial College London formerly consulted for the Conservative government on the coronavirus strategy, and his modelling was instrumental in the design of the United Kingdom's March lockdown. He resigned his role as senior scientific advisor to the government in May after he was caught twice, allowing his married lover to come to his home despite her being in quarantine with her family, breaking the professor's own lockdown rules. Why would you listen to anything this man has to say? He obviously doesn't take it personally or seriously, for that matter.
Most of these people don't. It's all rules for thee, not for me. That's what it is. Back to the nursing home thing. I don't want to lose this comment. Carrie says people in NH here are not crying out, but in nursing homes are not crying out, but are declining as they feel neglected by loved ones. From happy and quality life, they now have quantity with no quality.
So, and here's the four
medical professionals in South Australia are calling for urgent action this morning following shocking revelations about the deaths of 4 babies. The newborns were denied life-saving heart surgery because it wasn't available in Adelaide and they couldn't be transferred interstate because of travel restrictions. Adelaide is the only capital city in mainland Australia that doesn't have its own infant cardiac unit. As one obstetrician said yesterday, quote, "I shall leave it to you to imagine the profound effect of these deaths on the parents. South Australian Premier will join us a little later in the program.
It's unbelievable.
It is though believable.
So, and this goes to show you that they don't actually care about saving lives. They don't care about old people. They don't care about infants or anyone else that needs an emergency surgery. Mm-hmm. They don't care about people that need maintenance surgeries, right? They just care about the control that this is affording them.
Yeah, exactly. Wales has shut down all essential goods. Now, in these anti-lockdown protests, you did see 10 people were arrested. At least 10 people have been arrested at an anti-lockdown protest in London as demonstrators took to the streets of the capital to demand an end to the coronavirus restrictions. Thousands of protesters, finally, with banners opposing coronavirus rules and vaccines. Yeah, the Metropolitan Police said at least 10 were arrested so far in these protests. Facts not fear. I love that. Facts not fear. Facts not fear. That's something good to hold on to. That's really, really good, actually. Pierce Corbyn was specifically targeted by police at an anti-lockdown protest. Jeremy Corbyn's brother Pierce was specifically targeted. The weather forecaster 73 was very much on the radar of police patrolling London's Hyde Park in May. Mr. Corbyn denies breaching coronavirus rules, but during protests on the 16th and the 30th of May, he was due to stand trial on Friday, but issues with late disclosure of police logbooks have delayed the proceedings. So these are, I believe, they are illegal laws too. So I'm going to actually stand with Pierce Corbyn on that.
Harold says Ferguson's married lover is also a climate activist. Strange how lockdown and resultant drop in carbon emissions is exactly what they would have wanted. A Swede Speak says it made sense in March when we did not know what we were dealing with. It does not make sense now.
Thank you for that. Thank you. That it made sense when we didn't know what we were dealing with. Now we know. All right. So moving on.
Let's get last week we said coronavirus the whole time.
I know. Last week, yeah. Well, yeah, lockdowns and stuff. So last week we discussed, hey, no deal Brexit, but you don't count your chickens before they hatch. When it comes to Boris Johnson, pretty much nothing's fertile. So post-Brexit trade talks have been extended, says number 10. The chief negotiators for the UK and the EU will continue their post-Brexit trade talks in London until Wednesday, says number 10. Michael Barnier arrived in the UK on Thursday to restart negotiation with Lord David Frost after they had stalled last week, but he was due to return home on Sunday. EU sources told the BBC more talks are planned in Brussels from Thursday. Northern Ireland Secretary Brendan Lewis said the extended talks were a very good sign a deal could be done, but he also told the BBC Andrew Marr, we have got to make sure it is a deal that works, not just for our partners in Europe, but for the one that works for the United Kingdom. That would be a duh. The two sides are thought to be working on legal text, but Whitehall sources have indicated major sticking points like fishing rights and competition rules remain unresolved. So it's very interesting, though, because
they have less than a week to get this done.
Because Macron's hard line on the fishing rights, actually you have the fishermen worried of a no-deal Brexit, which would reduce all their rights to the waters, which is what you guys want, and they're trying to get Macron to make a deal here because they want at least some. And then they're going to, I don't know, go to war or battle, I don't know, over this thing. The UK left the EU on the 31st of January, but has been in a so-called transition period, continuing to follow EU rules and pay into the bloc, while the two sides hammer out a post-Brexit trade agreement. The transition period is due to end on December 31st, but if a deal is not reached, the UK trade with the EU on World Trade Organization rules. Some critics fear a no-deal scenario will cause problems for businesses, but the government insists the UK will prosper. The EU had said a deal needed to be agreed to by the end of October to allow time for it to be ratified by all the relevant parliaments. But the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson had warned of walking away from talks on October 15th. After strong words from both sides and calls for fundamental changes to the approach of negotiations, a return to the table was agreed, and Mr. Barnier has been holding talks with the UK chief negotiator, Lord David Frost, since Thursday. Now, Michelle and I, we started this show, we had some disagreements over something that was stupid, something petty. This is not petty, okay? But they are acting petty. Okay? They are acting petty over a lot of these things. Here are the sticking points. They're over the issue of so-called state aid rules, which limit government help for industry in the name of assuring fair economic competition. The UK has rejected an EU demand made earlier in the year for it to continue following the bloc's rules on such subsidies as part of a trade agreement. Lord Frost has suggested the UK could instead agree principles for how subsidies are spent. And I'm not a big fan of the subsidies because what you've seen with these subsidies is that usually some French cheese farmer loses out. So it doesn't really work very well. French fishermen threaten absolute chaos if Emmanuel Macron does not soften Brexit demands. French fishermen may provide a surprise boost to Boris Johnson's chances of a Brexit deal by threatening absolute chaos if Britain leaves without one. They insisted that Emmanuel Macron soften his demands so they can access the UK waters. President Macron said he will walk away without a trade agreement unless Boris Johnson drops demands for the UK to have full sovereignty. French fishermen may provide a surprise boost. They're like, hey, we want something. Okay. The French president has said he will walk away without a trade agreement unless the PM drops demands for the UK to have full sovereignty. But French trawlermen said that that would decimate their industry, which is worth $750 million a year. Dmitry Rogoff of the Normandy Regional Fisheries Committee said, if it's a no deal, it will be absolute chaos. We will have to stop our boats going to sea as we will not be able to fish in British waters. Sophie Leroy, who owns 4 boats, added, if there is a no deal, we will not let a single British fish land in our French ports. We are not going to sacrifice our companies and let the British market their seafood here. Meanwhile, a report on the Center for Brexit Policy warns the withdrawal agreement signed a year ago is flawed and should be consigned to the scrap heap of history.
Mikey B says, I think we're headed for no deal. I reckon Boris hasn't shut the door entirely on the EU to see if they cave. Sweet Speak says the UK can make trade deals with the US, Brazil, etc. Stuart the Brit says Boris has been fired. He just does not know it yet. Bye-bye, Boris. Hang on, I have to read this comment. Totally unrelated, but I think it's great. A Swede Speak says, by the way, the average Joe or the Jones is called Metal Svensson, the average Svensson in Sweden. That's how common. We always tell people Svensson is like Smith. But when you and I were walking the other day, we saw a box and it said something, something, something Svensson. And I think it might have said that. I think it might have said Metal Svensson, M-E-D-E-L. No, Svensson. It didn't say that. It said something else with an M in front of it. But that is really interesting. I did not know that. You have taught us something. Metal Svensson. That's good.
So Wokingham, I love. They're very woke there. Wokingham John Redward has issued a warning to the Prime Minister not to sign Britain back up to the European Union. He tweeted, "We voted to leave the single market and customs union. The government must not negotiate us back into these damaging arrangements." Earlier this year, Mr. Redwood urged the Prime Minister to walk away from the crucial last-minute negotiations. The Tory MP claimed the EU had not been negotiating in good faith. He tweeted, "The EU has not negotiated in good faith. Time to end the talks as promised." Others urged Mr. Johnson to step away from negotiations, including former MEP Martin Dalby. Mr. Dowdney tweeted, "Macron, the trumped-up Napoleon, states on no account will our fishermen be sacrificed for Brexit." Well, that's just it then. It's time to walk away from these ludicrous talks and take back control of our fishing waters. Anything less would be a sell-out. Brexit Party Chairman Richard Tice also previously called for talks to be left behind. He said Boris did say that if a deal wasn't agreed by mid-October, then that was it. The end of negotiations. Well, look at Theresa May, right? Cut from the same cloth, and he should stick to that, and he should make it very clear we are where we are, and that's it, and everybody can plan. If we haven't got a deal, we mean it. We're stopping negotiations. If you want to resolve something in the next 24 hours, otherwise we're done, folks. We are out of here. Bags packed, files closed, and we'll go to the arrangement that Australia has with the EU, which is based on WTO rules. As both sides meet for crucial talks this weekend, they have informally agreed to stand down their media operations during the weekend talks, signaling the talks are being actually taken seriously. It's not petty, I guess. We'll see after this. What does Nigel say? Nigel actually says the Brexit Party is prepared to restart the fight if Boris agrees to a soft Brexit EU treaty.
Do you think that that's a little bit of him just saying it just to kind of nudge Boris, even though
everything he did was a nudge, but he backs his stuff up like
exactly.
more than anybody had ever known. Like, dude says something, he's going to do it. He started a Brexit Party. He put all those MEPs into the EU. He puts his money, his word, his mouth, where his mouth is. It's absolutely amazing what Nigel Farage does. Nigel Farage said that if Boris Johnson backs a trade deal with the EU based on the withdrawal agreement, which fails to deliver a full Brexit, then his Brexit Party will be prepared to restart the fight. Brexit negotiations are at a tense standoff, with Prime Minister Johnson announcing last week the UK should prepare for a no deal. Clean break, we covered it. A Brexit at the end of the transition period, January 1st. Because Brussels remains intransigent What is that word? Intransigent, I think. That's not intransient.
I don't see where you're reading. Oh.
Yeah.
I think they just might be spelling it wrong.
Brussels
is that a word?
Is stubborn.
Intransigent.
On key issues of Britain regaining full sovereignty. The Prime Minister also rebuffed EU office to send Michael Barnier to London for negotiations this week unless the bloc changes its negotiation strategy. Hitherto, Brussels has demanded that all movement come across from UK, notably on continued fishing rights for EU fishermen. And
unwilling or refusing to change one's views or to agree about something.
How do you pronounce it? Is it intransigent?
Intransigent.
Hitherto, Brussels has demanded that all movement come from the UK, notably on continuing fishing rights for EU fishermen and the UK's adherence to anti-competition rules. Barnier, however, suggested accommodation from the EU side, telling the European Parliament on Wednesday that a deal may be in place by the deadline if both sides are willing to compromise. Sources in Brussels and London told the Telegraph on Tuesday that Mr. Barnier could be in London as soon as Thursday to recommence negotiations in what the newspaper suggested would be a precursor to a free trade agreement being signed. Writing in the Telegraph on Wednesday, Mr. Farage said that despite the tough talk on both sides, he believes that a deal will be signed, with the French making concessions on fishing and the UK surrendering on state aid rules.
So he really thinks it's going to be signed.
Yeah. Mr. Farage warned that such a deal, forming a new EU treaty, which Brussels revered like the Bible, that is based on the withdrawal agreement, will come back to haunt them over the next 4 years, and urged the Prime Minister instead to go for a no deal, where the UK trades with the bloc on the WTO terms. If Mr. Johnson went down this path, I would support him 100% by the time of the next general election. There would be a real possibility of a Canada-style free trade agreement. He said if the government does decide to take the easy way out by opting to do a deal based on the withdrawal agreement, I know that many of my excellent colleagues in the Brexit Party will be prepared to restart the fight. As UKIP proved during David Cameron's time in Downing Street, highly motivated insurgent political parties can split the Conservatives very effectively. I genuinely hope it does not come to this, but Johnson should be under no illusions about how serious the situation is. Recent YouGov polling would appear to back the Brexit Party leader's remarks. Mr. Farage observed that despite party activity having been made pretty negotiable, the Brexit Party had gained 2 percentage points, going from 3% to 5% in just 1 week. 8% of those Brexit Party supporters had voted Tory in the last election, with Mr. Farage saying that those people likely lent their votes to the Conservative Party on the promise that Boris Johnson would deliver a real Brexit. Adding, I am certain that this steady trickle of those unhappy with the ongoing Brexit negotiations will become a flood if the government is seen to give in to the EU's representation. So we'll see.
Hilton is not convinced. Hilton says Boris will sell out. So my gut says that you are right. I want to believe that you are wrong. I'm holding out a lot of hopes that next Sunday, when we bring you our show, we will have good news for you.
I think there's always room for hope.
Yes.
Always room for hope. So
what do you got?
In the UK, they had money set aside for coronavirus.
Of course.
And some people are upset.
Okay.
That £215,000 were given to a drag artist fund. So this man here.
What?
This man here.
What?
It was designed to keep artists in business.
Oh my god. So it's not just like an art fund though, where like he's part of it.
Right. It was just to this guy, just to him.
No, it said a drag art fund. He's the only one?
No, there was a big art fund. This specific guy was given £215,000.
That's not right.
It was the Arts Council England are distributing $500 million to cash-strapped venues. £250 went to La Gâteau Chocolat, run by performer George something. But several renowned clubs and venues have had their applications rejected. The council defending the grant size, saying it would go towards hiring freelancers to put on planned shows. The body, which allocates grants to venues hit hard by the pandemic, has given $250,000 to a drag queen. Sorry.
Pounds.
Whatever. I said it right the first couple times, so just let it go. While snubbing popular cash-strapped venues, applying for a share of its $500 million pot, Arts Council England gave the huge grant to this George guy, who describes himself as fat, black, and bearded. The sum, his own words, the sum, which is more than 7 times the average annual national salary, came despite the act never grossing even half that sum in a year. Other acts and venues, such as Manchester's renowned comedy club, the Frog and Bucket, have had their grant applications rejected. The Frog and Bucket has helped launch careers of TV favorites. But it said a grant would have meant everything to its survival plans, but it was deemed not to be culturally significant. The annual Towersey Folk Festival's application for funding was also rejected. The spokesman said, "We guess a 56-year-old festival, the oldest independent in the county that has never needed funding, handouts, or grants, always paid wages and bills, and has been financially viable every single year, is not worth saving." Brighton-based Mr. Drag Queen here was given the cash as part of a second round of bailouts worth $76 million announced by the council this week. On his website, he describes himself as British-born Nigerian boy with a law degree, unsuspecting mother with a big heart. So, and he has some keen words to say about himself. People.
Whoa! Ain't nobody need to see that. It looked like a candy corn.
The criteria to be awarded a grant are rigorous, and we are confident we have applied them all to our decision.
I'm blind.
I'm blind too.
Oh my good night.
Yeah. So there you have that. Your government money at work. Are you happy about this?
I cannot. I don't even have words for that.
So the Pope has made a stir by urging the passage of civil union laws for homosexuals. Pope Francis has given his tentative support for civil union laws. This is amazing to me, and I know that we were given this link by Saint Mark the Evangelist, very Catholic, who calls Pope Francis the Black Pope, not the real Pope, Antichrist, and Pope Benedict is the true Pope. Regardless of how you feel about the Catholic Church, I actually support and honor the Catholic Church as a whole. I appreciate what they do. They are Christians. I don't agree with everything, but I do believe that the Pope has a voice to speak, and it's very interesting that he's using it for this right now. In a documentary.
Interesting? You mean diabolical?
In a documentary that premiered Wednesday in Rome, homosexuals have a right to be part of the family. They're children of God and have a right to a family. Now, this is very interesting. No one is denying. Here's the thing. Homosexuals are born to a mom and a dad. They have a brother. They have sisters, maybe. They might have aunts. They might have uncles. No one is denying homosexuals, and that's the line. No one's denying you a family. Okay? What you are not is a man, and you're not a marriage. Okay? Now, I am not opposed to civil unions. I am opposed to the church condoning them.
That's a really good point.
Because
if we do allow homosexual civil unions, we are going to have to allow civil unions between anyone for a tax break, right? So siblings, friends, anyone can have we are choosing to join in a civil union together.
I say this all the time.
If we want to do that, we can do that. Let's do it.
Marriage itself is between a man and a woman. And this is not something to say anything against homosexuals. Okay? At all. The love is love. Whoa. We're talking about marriage. We're not talking about love. We're not saying you don't love people or you don't care about people. That's not what we're saying here. Okay? You're putting that, or they are putting that in. When I say that, I'm not against gay marriage. I am just... A girl is a girl biologically. A boy is a boy biologically. Rational, logical thinking. Marriage is between a man and a woman. That is what marriage is. You can have civil unions that put people together, and you have to open that up to aunts and uncles and cousins and to multiple people and you can have 20 people on your insurance or whatever, because once you've decided that it's for, you know, homosexuals, then you cannot deny people polygamy. For a guy to say, because we have laws here and you have laws against polygamy, you cannot marry more than one person, even though they allow foreigners to come in with multiple wives and pay them benefits.
I feel like changing the definition of marriage from a man and a woman to a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or any of the other genders that you want to throw in there. Okay, I feel like changing it is the same thing as changing marriage, the definition of marriage, to you can marry multiple people.
Yeah.
Now, most sound-minded, sane people, not everyone, but most of us would say, no, you can't marry more than one person. Why? Well, because the definition of marriage is just one person, one male married to one female, or vice versa.
Right.
Okay, that's the definition of marriage. So you can't alter the definition of marriage. It just has to be something else.
So as Christians, the Pope is supposed to be representing Christianity.
Exactly.
In the beginning, God made them male and female. And then, why did God make them male and female? That he may produce a godly seed. He put them together to create families. It doesn't mean that everybody has to have children. And that's why God instituted the institution of marriage. Now, listen to what the Pope has to say. He says, homosexuals have a right to be part of a family. They're children of God and have a right.
I gotta go. Wait 1 second. I bet your mommy's here. Come here, Kira.
Oh, bye-bye, Kiri. Go on, go sit your mommies. Go on, she's not coming. You gotta call her.
Come here, Kira.
Oh, I'm so tired.
Come here, Kira. Your mommy's here.
Come on, baby. Hang on, she won't come without me.
Oh,
Come on. She won't come without me. Oh, here comes her friend Gatlin. Okay, I'm back. I'm on live on air. Sorry. I lost my train of thought for a second. I'm here. Okay. Come here. Come back here, Gatlin. Okay. So nobody should be thrown out or made miserable because of it. They're children of God and have a right to a family. Nobody is throwing people out. Nobody needs to become miserable just because we're saying marriage is between a man and a woman. What we have to create is a civil union law. That way they are legally covered. Legally covered. Well, like Michelle said, we're going to do that. You need to allow polygamy. You need to allow siblings to legally be married. And he said, I stood up for that. The Pope's remarks sparked immediate calls for clarification as they seem to be directly contradict official Catholic teaching. The Vatican document from 2003, signed by then Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger and expressly approved by St. John Paul II, forbade Catholics from supporting civil unions for gays. Those who would move from tolerance to to being legitimate of specific rights for cohabitating homosexual persons need to be reminded that the approval or legislation of evil is something far different from the toleration of evil. In those situations where homosexual unions have been legally recognized or have been given the legal status and rights belonging to marriage, clear and emphatic opposition is a duty. The text lays out a series of arguments as to why Catholics can never support legislation recognizing homosexual couples as civil unions. Laws in favor of homosexual unions are contrary to right reason because they confer legal guarantees along the lines of those granted to marriage to unions between persons of the same sex. Given the values at stake in this question, the state could not grant legal standing to such unions without failing in its duty to promote and defend marriage as an institution essential to the common good. Legal recognition of homosexual unions would obscure certain basic moral values and cause a devaluation of the institution of marriage. Because the Catholic Church considers homosexual relations to be gravely sinful, the recognition of homosexual unions would suggest approval and formalization of an objectively disordered relationship. Not even in a remote sense do homosexual unions fulfill the purpose for which marriage and family deserve a specific categorical recognition. On the contrary, there are good reasons for holding that such unions are harmful to the proper development of society, especially if their impact on society were to increase. The document goes on to insist that all Catholics are obliged to oppose the legal recognition of homosexual unions, and that Catholic politicians are obliged to do so in a particular way, in keeping with their responsibility as politicians. Pope Francis has been a vocal opponent of gay marriage, insisting that every child has the right to grow up in a family with a mother and a father, and that the man-woman complementary is the basis of marriage in the family. And it's very interesting. I love that we can have a discussion on this, that there are lots of opinions, and you don't need to be a Christian. When Christianity was first created in the first century, Christians did not go out and start telling everybody who was in a sinful lifestyle that they needed to change. They spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, saying, Jesus came, he died for your sins. And then when they came into the church, you explained that this is the way God has things ordered for your best possible life. Not all of us are living the best possible life or the best possible life for society. And if somebody has a propensity to be attracted to the same gender, I'm not here to judge them. But what I'm here to say is that as society, the best society is when we do say that marriage, what we don't want to do is erode foundations of society that keep society strong in order to not hurt other people's feelings. You can have your friendships, you can have your relationships. They're just not marriage. They're just not. Okay? And I know that might hurt some people's feelings, but it's just not marriage. It's some sort of pretend make-believe. You're a cohabitating couple. And that's what you are. And that's not to say that you're a lesser human being. Listen, I'm not a married human being. I'm not a lesser human being than anybody else. I am just not married. And that's a thing. All right? And to say that a relationship between the same gender is the same as a relationship between two different genders is to actually deny that there are differences in gender. And I refuse to do that. There are major differences and balances that men and women have, and it is a beautiful thing. And in society, when you have these healthy balances and the more healthy marriages, what we should be doing as society is promoting the healthy marriages. If there's problems within the marriage, we should be promoting healthy marriages. It's just not a marriage. It's just not. And it's just like saying a boy can never be a girl and a girl can never be a boy. A marriage is between a man and a woman. It's just a fact. It's not to hurt anybody's feelings. All right. The left wants to break down a family because it is easier to control individuals who do not have a strong family. That is really true. They are living in a fantasy. Let's see. It says there's a documentary called The Swedish Theory of Love that describes how this was done by the left in Sweden. Gay marriage is a step too far. God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because of the homosexuals. I think they went a little bit far. It wasn't necessarily because of all the homosexuals, but because of the way they acted and how they went. But yes, I get what you're saying. And like again, it says marriage in the UK is dying because the government has interfered too much in the institution of marriage by not protecting each party equally. That's very interesting. So with that, kind of along those same lines, on the opposite, okay, in very Catholic Poland,
love Poland,
Polish courts have instituted stricter abortion laws.
Wow.
And people are protesting. And I saw the protests first, and I was like, well, and then I had to go research, well, what are they protesting? Why are they so angry? Because a Polish court strikes down abortions that target disabled children. And people are upset about it. And it's crazy. Poland's High Court struck down a provision permitting doctors to abort fetuses on the grounds of congenital defects, saying the law violates the national constitution. In its decision Thursday, the court argued that aborting a child due to probable birth defects amounted to eugenics, an attempt to call out the weak and undesirable in a society notoriously practiced by the Nazis against the Jews and disabled persons and by Margaret Sanger in the United States. Aborting an unborn child because of foreseen defects such as Down syndrome, the most common reason cited for legal abortions in Poland, violates constitutional protections of life of every individual, the court found in an 11-2 ruling. There can be no protection of the dignity of an individual without the protection of life, the court declared. The court also ruled that conditioning on an unborn child's right to life on its health constituted a form of illicit discrimination. The president of the court, Julia Przybylska, who was appointed to the court in 2015, announced Thursday's verdict. After the decision, the spokeswoman for the ruling Law and Justice Party said new legislation would be introduced to better support women and their children that will be born as a result of the court's decision. Poland's current legislation permits abortions when the mother's health or life is in danger, or when the pregnancy results from rape or another illegal act, or in the case of expected congenital defects. Only the last provision was challenged. So if there's rape, the mother's life is in danger, or there's some other illegal act, there's still provisions there. It's just if you can't abort a baby who might be just disabled, just like you can't kill a baby who might be disabled.
A couple of thoughts on that. So I think that do we have laws like that here on the books where you're not allowed to kill babies based on
Down syndrome? I don't know. I honestly
only
don't know.
because where would you draw the line? What is a defect? Because what that can go to, I mean, there's the line. There's no in order to do these sorts of things, there has to be somewhat black and white lines that people can draw from to say, okay, the woman has been raped. Black and white line, right? There is no black and white line for what constitutes a birth defect. Clubbed foot. I don't know what kind of things they can see in the womb, right, with ultrasounds and stuff like that. But still, when you look at people that have disabilities, how could you look at them and say your parent should have aborted you before you were born so that you wouldn't live with this disability? It's just pure insanity. It is discrimination.
Well,
it's eugenics.
I was actually heartened to think that the court ruled 11-2 on
Exactly. I'm sorry.
And
I'm just thinking, like, how was this even okay before? And do we allow that in the United States? I'm just curious.
This is why, this goes to explain why the EU is upset with the reform of the court in Poland. Because they have been putting better judges on, and obviously the judges made a really good decision here. So Poland, props to you. You're doing a great thing.
Carrie says, yes, you can hear. No one questions why you want an abortion. I guess, okay, so you're correct on that. But once a baby reaches, we do have restrictions on the time limit, depending on which state you live in, right?
Yeah.
And if the doctor were to tell you your baby has this deformity beyond those weeks, depending on where you live, you're not allowed to abort the child just because of that deformity.
Well,
but
so
you're
much,
right. Pre those weeks, you can get an abortion.
So
for
much
any
for
reason.
freedom of expression. Remember the beheaded teacher that we had to cover? That was last week because he showed some pictures of Muhammad. He was actually interrogated by police over those Muhammad images days before the attack. So French teacher Samuel Paty, who was beheaded by a radical Islamist terrorist for showing images of the Islamic prophet during a lesson on freedom of expression, is being honored by the French state. But just days prior to his brutal assassination, he was interrogated by police over the same images. France has, at the government and institutional level, come out strongly for Mr. Paty, a father of one in his 40s, as a martyr to France's traditional values of liberty and secularism. So the fact that he was hauled before investigators for the act of blasphemy, which led to his death, is something of a blow to the official narrative. One of the parents of a student of the Bois d'Anneau College in Compiègne-Saint-Honoré, near Paris, had filed a complaint with the authorities that Paty's actions accounted to the dissemination of pornographic images. Explaining what had happened in class during his interrogation, Paty told investigators that he had suggested that my students look away for a few seconds if they thought they might be shocked for one reason or another. At no time did I tell my student Muslims, you can go out because you are going to be shocked. I did not ask only students who were of the Muslim faith. My goal when I asked them to look away was that they didn't feel offended. 4 days after Paty was publicly beheaded by the Chechenian immigrant Abdulka Azarov, who came to France as a refugee after a pair of teenagers from the school waited with this kid for 2 hours and pointed him out in exchange for a few €100. Those two teenagers, along with their father, accused by the authorities of effectively launching a fatwa against the teacher in an online diatribe, which was shared on social media by a mosque, and now set to face charges in connection with the Pate's murder, along with several others, and as they should.
I want to read a couple of comments back on the abortion issue because these are really powerful. In the chat here, hang on. A Sweet Speak says Down syndrome has pretty much been eradicated in Iceland and Denmark. Only Christians actually give birth to Down syndrome babies among the Danes. George V says this is a crime against the crime that is being committed upon all of humanity. Nay, this is genocide that is committed upon all of humanity. Sweet Speak says we need to stand with Poland in opposing abortion. Lance Lucifer says my mom aborted many. I was the first. Lucky me. She talks about it now. He goes on to say mom said that she fell for the lies, and I felt like that was really powerful.
Wow, that is powerful.
A Sweet Speak says my mom was 19, not married, shaky relationship to my dad, but when I was born, common knowledge in Sweden was that an abortion was the better option. For some reason she did not want to do that, and she was and is not a Christian.
Wow.
I'm glad that your mom saved your life. Although Swedish culture was more Christian in 1977 than it is in 2020.
That's true.
Peter Martin says, at Sweet Speaks, she obviously did the right thing.
So speaking of the Paris beheading, and I hate to go back and forth to that.
No, that's fine. It's just hard because the comments are delayed.
Yeah.
But I don't want to miss the comments.
So we will cut your head off. French mayor threatened in wake of the teacher beheading. A town mayor is receiving protection from the national government after threats to behead him were painted on walls. The menacing messages coming just days after a teacher was decapitated in a Paris suburb. 3 different sets of graffiti were discovered around Lyon suburb on Thursday, which referred to a local police and town's mayor, Jeremy Brenud. French news magazine Paris Watch reports that while the messages misspelt the mayor's name, the intent was clear when they said, Jeremy Brenud, we will behead you. The French Interior Minister, who has been at the forefront of responses since a French history teacher was beheaded, they're just, it looks like this. It says that their first reaction was bewilderment, and this radical Islamism all over France. If you have a nest of bees who are ready to just go behead people because they show a pretend picture of Muhammad, like we said, if nobody's ever, if he was around in 600 AD, you really, and no pictures of him were ever created, then you don't know what he looks like. So there cannot be any, there's naked people in that. There cannot be any pictures of Muhammad at all.
So just because someone takes some sort of likeness and says, and puts the name, like this is Muhammad underneath of it, doesn't make it true. So the fact that they're getting upset about it is insanity.
So there's a lot of issues in France, and I'm not a fan of France, just to be honest. So Paris is opening up shooting rooms for its city's 5,000 crack addicts. Paris local government is looking into opening up shooting rooms for the city's estimated $5,000 crack cocaine addicts. The government, which has had approval from Health Minister Agnès Buzyn, will shortly launch a citizens' consultation on the plans and is looking at several sites across the city to accommodate crack users. Among the locations, according to the report from the Le Parisien, is the heavily migrant-populated 18th era Dizement, which has seen several large makeshift migrant camps emerge in recent years. This is going to make life so much better for people there. Our goal is to reach people on the scenes of drug addiction. The goal is to position ourselves in the places of consumption to be as near as possible to addicts. Emmanuel Dupree, a residence representative in the area of Les Halles, which has also been considered for a shooting room, commented, personally, I think we should help addicts to get rid of drugs rather than making shooting rooms available to them.
Exactly.
The shooting rooms come after Paris opened its first such site in 2016 in the 10th arrondissement, but that room does not allow entry to crack cocaine users. Other countries, such as Canada, have created safe injection sites in cities with major problems with illegal narcotics. While some experts have claimed that safe injection sites can reduce the number of fatal overdoses from illegal drugs, others have urged they bring crime and disorder with them. Earlier this year, the government of the Canadian province of Alberta announced it would be reducing or moving safe injection sites after reports stated that the sites increase crime in the area. There are now more than injections. They're just illegal drug sites. I think we see pretty much everywhere a marked increase in crime in the area of those sites and social disorder and negative human consequences. And to that I say, duh. Duh. This is where the left gets you. Okay? This is where the left gets you. Your crack cocaine addicts do not think clearly. Obviously, they will do anything for drugs, as will heroin users. And so if you're going to, put a bunch of zombies in an area, the zombies are going to come out and they're going to do crazy things. They're going to rob stores. They're going to rob people. There's going to be extra crime. And we have this notion that you can allow some horrible thing to continue to happen and you can somehow contain it. But it's just kind of like putting water in a sieve. It's just going to keep dripping out. You have to go after. This is why I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm actually for putting addicts either in rehab or jail because they have to get clean. Because crack addicts and heroin addicts are a menace on society. Yeah. They are a menace on society. They're usually not working, so they have to steal. Okay? And we just have to be able to be honest about these things. Oh, the war on drugs doesn't work. Well, guess what? Letting things just go crazy is not going to work either.
Exactly.
So, there's my 2 cents.
No, I don't have anything to add to that. I think you're 100% right. If they're saying that it doesn't work for jail and stuff like that, just letting it all run rampant is not going to work either. So there is that. Barry, back on the abortion thing, he had a comment and I had to look it up because I wasn't sure. He says, Michelle, one thing I do have to ask you is, do you know what thalidomide is? If so, how do you feel about abortion on medical grounds? I know of thalidomide who wish they were aborted. Now, my quick research on that very quickly is that it was a drug that was used, given to mothers in the 50s and 60s to treat morning sickness. And what it did is it produced birth defects and children born without limbs and things like that. So they banned the use of it. But to answer, so I can't really address that specific thing, but abortion on medical grounds to me is all under the same thing. You have no idea. I have seen quadriplegics and just so many people that are born under the worst kind of conditions, right? They don't have arms, they don't have legs, whatever it is that you want to say that they have, these problems. There are people that really suffer under those conditions, but there are people that live amazing lives under those conditions. And how can you say, well, we should kill this child because they may be in the latter, snuff out a life that could be a beautiful one just because they may suffer? You don't know. Every life deserves the opportunity and chance, and we cannot discriminate or kill on the possibility of someone not having a rich and full life.
But I'm on a side that I don't know if a lot of people are on. I don't believe in all the life-saving, like those 4 infants. I don't know if every infant should have millions of dollars put into them to be saved. That sometimes, and it's a hard thing to say, you have to let nature take its course. So the same thing, we either save, or we kill. Or we save, or we kill. But there's got to be, I believe, some sort of common ground. Okay? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, I'm just going to leave that there. So you have 2 different things here. I think this is kind of funny to kind of end on. Unanimous decision. Australia's national rugby team refuses to kneel for BLM. So Australia's national rugby team will not take a knee in support of Black Lives Matter movement after a unanimous vote by the players insisting they were not interested in making political statements. The Australian Wallabies face the New Zealand All Blacks next Saturday in the Blessed Cup on contest in Sydney. The coach said the idea of kneeling during the national anthem was discussed by the players and they voted against becoming the first Australian national sporting team to do so. However, Australia will wear a new First Nation jersey for the contest. The key thing is that this is about honoring our indigenous people, and we want the focus to be on that. Everyone has got their own opinions around other situations, but we want to focus on reflecting our own history and our past. Our focus is around the First Nations people and the indigenous jersey. We're not looking to make a political statement. He said the coaching and management group talked with the team leaders, who then met with the rest of the team, and it was a unanimous decision. To take the risk of basically splitting the support of the Wallabies are starting to earn through their gutsy performances in Wellington and Auckland. We just don't do it, guys. It's too risky. You run the risk that a few viewers will just turn off and they don't want to see politics in the national sport. That's a real risk. I think it could be divisive. But what I found incredibly interesting is that over in the UK, the football club is to investigate why players did not kneel. So the chairman of a Welsh football club, soccer, we moved from rugby to soccer, is launching an investigation into why players did not kneel during a Black Lives Matter during a match. Newport County Association Football Club chairman Gavin Foxall, who is white, was raked over the coals by the former professional football player Nathan Blake, who is black, on BBC Radio Wales for the failure to show due deference to the Black Lives Matter movement at the English Football League 2 match against the Rovers. Let me just say, this is Newport. It's probably one of the biggest black populations in Great Britain. You have fans here who are black, white, Asian. Don't you feel accountability and responsibility of those people, he demanded? Racism doesn't have a place in society, let alone in football. And as a football club, we're fully behind that, Foxall said. I don't know why that didn't happen today. And as I say, there is protocol for it, which is instigated by the referee with the two captains. Rest assured, this club is fully behind the campaign, and we will live that out, and we will need to live that out. Foxall had explained that it was his understanding that the ritual kneeling, which has taken place for before many professional football matches for months, is now typically something that the referee instigates before a game. It's agreed with the two captains. I don't know why that wasn't the case today, and as a club, we'll take that away and have that discussion and see why that wasn't the case. But I would say, though, as a club yesterday, we supported the Wear Red Day campaign to show racism as the red card, and you will see from our shirts as well, we support the campaign of today or any day. So they're going to investigate why people didn't kneel. Now, it started with people who were just trying to make a statement. And now it's gotten to the place where you have to do it.
I know. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But the whole club voted not to do it, though.
No. Australia.
Oh, okay.
In the rugby.
Over. Yeah.
Right.
I missed the switch there. I was reading comments. Sorry.
That's okay. So Australia's rugby team says, no, we're not kneeling.
Right.
But in the UK, in soccer, football, they are investigating why they didn't kneel.
I get it. I'm with you.
Right.
Okie dokie.
And then Iraqi Archbishop says Europe is naive about terrorism and uncontrolled immigration. The Archbishop of Mosul, Iraq, said Wednesday that he fears more for Europe than for his native Iraq because Europe is naive about the dangers of radical Islam. Europe is becoming the sick child of the modern world because it is moving away from its faith and its cultural and religious roots, said Archbishop Nabib Masao Michael in an interview with the European Post. By dint of turning away from the church and its heritage, it falls in love with the worst fundamentalists, lax or individualistic ideologies, as long as they are opposed to those who built it. This is an immense sorrow for those who love Europe, a pain that will be only repaired through education and culture, through knowledge and the coming out of a false vision of secularism, which must not be instrumentalized to oppose God and spiritual values. Pro-Christian Europe is a ripe target for radical Islam, the Archbishop suggested, because it has abandoned the soul of its culture and its vacuum looks to be filled. Islamism fills a void and emptiness, the Archbishop said. In the East, we often look at Europe with envious eyes, but we have retained natural values, the defense and promotion of the family, living faith, pride in our identities and our roots, all things that I see slowly disappearing in Europe. I am more afraid for Europe than I am for Iraq. Here, in some ways, we have lost everything. Here, you neglect the importance of your treasures, your cultures, your civilizations, and sometimes you give way to fundamentalist or Salafist movements that gradually impose their ideologies on those around them to become bearers of hatred and disrespect for the countries that welcome them. It's like asking everybody to put their hand on the Bible before a soccer match. The Archbishop also warned that Europeans can be disingenuous in their approach to immigration by not realizing who is coming into their countries and what their intentions are. One would have to be short-sighted not to see that Europe is naive in the face of terrorism and uncontrolled and unintended immigration. Not all these people come to love you or to serve the countries that welcome them, he warned. If you do not control and fight the outlaws and those who refuse the values of your country and human rights and impose their own laws, you will lose your way of life and your culture and your peace. For Catholics, naivety is not charity, prudence is. It is indispensable to have an eye for love and eye for prudence. That is how you are invited to look at migration. As for terrorism, if you do not make it disappear by laws and firmness, it is in you and your children who are exposed to the danger of kneeling. We must fear false gods, slavers, violence, and the sword, and not turn away from the God of love and peace. Christians all over the world are undergoing a real ordeal and always give martyrs because of the fanaticism of a God of sword and violence. Unfortunately, you also have martyrs murdered by the same ideology and by the same fanatical groups. And all over Europe, people are falling because of the expansionist Islamist ideology.
So that's incredible coming from Iraq.
It is.
That's absolutely, I mean, that's really quite something.
Yeah.
Well said for him. And he's kind of like taking his life in his hands. What is happening here? Oh, okay. But I did want to get to a comment from Horatio on the games. He says, it's only happening because it's in the hands of people in suits who have daft ideas. Once the crowds come back, they'll get ripped to pieces if they kneel. I really hope you're right. That was really an encouraging comment. I just don't know, like the NFL, they were kneeling in the NFL. Are you saying that the Brits are stronger than Americans? I hope you're right. And I think you might be right. Because the Americans weren't, like, some people boycotted, but other people just kind of, like, the Americans just kind of, like, let it roll off their backs. I think that you're probably right about the people in the UK. But since I do have Horatio in the chat, and I would like all of you all to help me wishing Horatio a happy birthday this Wednesday. This Wednesday is his birthday. So happy early birthday to you, my friend. We love and value you very much. Your opinion that is always on point and snarky from Yorkshire. I don't have a hat to tip to you, but I would if I did.
So I was going to sing a song. Horatio, do you have anything left to say? Because I know you leave when we sing the songs.
It's so true. He does bow out.
The floor is yours, Horatio.
You're unplugging
on purpose.
Okay, then we just turn into ghosts.
I know.
Literally. A Sweet Speak says Christians from Muslim majority countries tend to be a lot less naive than Western Europeans. Eric Jonas thinks a world war is just around the corner. I hope you're wrong. I think that they don't want a world war. Wrong. I think that they want Hopefully. Global unification is what they're really aiming at. And Dora Darling says, happy birthday to you, Horatio. So does a Swede Speaks. All right. Jim West says, I just finished sealing up the girls' Christmas parcel so it got to the courier now to get it to Ohio in time. It took Sean and Tracy, their package took 2 months to get here. She was worried about me eating the chocolates. I just finished them last night. I'm not going to not eat those chocolates. One of them was all crushed and caramel. I don't know what the heck it was. I don't remember the name of it, but it was good. And I'm like licking it out of the wrapper. Okay. 2 months. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Ben Patterson says, happy early birthday, Horatio. Mikey B says, happy birthday, Horatio. He says, yep, I'm off. Carrie says, happy birthday, Horatio. Kelly PB Fam says, happy birthday. You're getting plenty of happy birthdays here. And literally his face is probably, I know him, his face is getting redder and redder as I'm reading this. It's the only reason why I'm reading them out loud. Let me see. Let me go and see if we've got any comments on Periscope here. Refocus Zone says, Switzerland and other countries have had drug shooting galleries for years. Drugs and needles are free. They also say the Pope already came out as pro-civil union, different from marriage, when he was an archbishop. Woodchip TV says, Sodom and Gomorrah days are here and we must not fall into the trap of delusion. Those are pretty heavy words. Whoa, you're sitting on my earbuds there, little dude. We have a dog here, and his name is Sailor, and I either call him Lightsaber, as in Star Wars, even though his name is Sailor, or little dude, and he just sat on my earbuds. We're still waiting for Leah to be here. Britt Baza says, happy birthday, Horatio. Don't get too... see, all right. When I was growing up, saying Pissed meant you were really, really angry. Okay? And so we don't say that. It was a word my mom did not like. Okay? To use it in, like, don't go to the bathroom to take this word. Don't do it. Horatio and I was trying to explain something to him, and I thought to drink the Piss was to, like, drink the Kool-Aid. Okay? Mm-hmm. It's not. It means just to get drunk to them. So, yeah, exactly. Donna Terry says, happy birthday, Horatio.
Can you take that book out from under there?
I can take the book out from under here, yes. Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. The different languages, the different words, you would think that we would speak the same language, but we actually don't. You guys, I mean, you call things like a basket, we call them a cart. So when we're like checking out online, yours will say, here's your basket, what's in your basket. Mm-hmm. Here it's going to say for us, what's in your cart. When they send us a notification for your item has shipped, we call it shipped. I think yours is your item has been dispatched. They'll send you a dispatch notice. And these are words that we use. It's just the difference between the words that are common versus, and I just think that that's really interesting. Can't believe 2 hours. Exactly. They've gone by so fast, and we were not on time, but you guys, your clocks have gone back.
We were on time for the UK.
Jim West says, don't get pie-eyed, Horatio. I don't even know what that is either. We can guess. Lance Lucifer says, I don't worry much about hard times. I can fish and kill, just have enough clothes and blankets for winter. That's a good point. I'm going to turn our speaker down, or mic down just a little bit. You might have to turn us up, but I can lower the threshold so it doesn't scratch as Leah sings. Just letting you know.
The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because He has anointed me. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because He has anointed me. Anointed me. Preach good tidings to the poor, heal up the brokenhearted, proclaim liberty to the captives, we're setting all the prisoners free, proclaim the year of Jubilee, God's justice for you and me, comfort to all who comfort to all who let me see with heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Let me see with heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's upon me, because He has anointed me. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because He has anointed me. Anointed me. To give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for sadness, the garment praise for the spirit of despair, that they might be called the trees of righteousness, the garden, the plantings of our Lord. see with heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Let me see with heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Open my eyes so I can see the heavenly hosts surrounding me. Open my ears so I can hear the sound of heaven. You are ever near. Oh, see with heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Let me see with heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Let me hear with heaven's ears, oh, heaven's ears. Let me hear with heaven's ears, oh, heaven's ears. The Spirit of our God is upon me, because He has anointed me. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because He has anointed me, anointed me. The joy of the Lord washes over me. He has clothed me with His salvation. He has covered me in righteousness. We are the seed that God has blessed, but you will be called the priest of our God, the ministers of our Lord. If you didn't know, this is taken exactly from Isaiah 61, where Jesus says, the Spirit of the Lord God is upon me because He has anointed me. He has anointed me. And what is He anointed me to do? Preach good tidings to the poor, heal up the brokenhearted, proclaim liberty to the captives, setting all the prisoners free. Proclaim the year of Jubilee, God's justice for you and me, to comfort to all who mourn, to give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for sadness, the garment of praise for the spirit of despair, that they might be called the trees of righteousness, the garden, the planting of our God. The joy of the Lord washes over me. He has clothed me with His salvation. He has covered me in righteousness. We are the seed that God has blessed, but you will be called the priest of our God. Oh, the ministers of our Lord. So, Lord God, open my eyes so I can see the heavenly hosts surrounding me. Oh, open my ears so I can hear the sound of heaven. You are ever near. Oh, give me heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Oh, give me heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Oh, give me heaven's ears, oh, heaven's ears. Oh, give me heaven's ears, oh, heaven's ears. Open my eyes so I can see the heavenly host that surrounds me, God, right now. There's more that are with us than against us. And Father God, there are spiritual attacks going on. There are mental and physical attacks happening. In my little prayer group, I've met with some ladies on Wednesdays. Everything seems to be in kind of a chaotic space right now. And there's a vision that the Lord gave me. And right now, what you don't see with this election happening right now, guys, this is just about the election. This is about Donald Trump. This is about evil and good and this great reset, this new world order, this demonic takeover that's trying to do this like satanic demonic takeover. And usually when Michelle and I have some sort of argument, and I am talking about this because it's usually when we're on the cusp of something great. And Michelle's like, we're so tired, should we even do the show? And I always know that we're getting ready to reach something when this happens, and I can't explain it because it's like, is the devil here? Is the devil trying to trick you? Is the devil trying to make you angry? Is the devil trying to do this? Well, yeah, if you're on the front lines of something, the devil's going to try to get to you, and he's going to try to get to your family, and he's going to try to get to your relatives. And if anything we can do, if you've been with us from the beginning of today's show, if anything I can tell you is that you've got to be able to be spiritually minded, to be able to say, to pick yourself up when you fall off a horse and say, not today, devil. God doesn't demand perfection of us. What he demands of us is to be perfected, is to humbly implore his help, because we live in a fallen and a sinful world. And as Paul says, what I want to do, I can't do. Okay? And people are not going to understand you all the time, and you're going to be in positions where you've got to suck it up. And you got to say, God, I need you right here, and I need you right now. And that's kind of what this song is about. Jesus coming and saying, I know that you're weak, I know that you are fallible, but I've given you something, and I've given you an anointing. And so what we need to do in all situations, but especially in those situations where we are weakened, so we need to recognize that he can be strong. And we need to ask God to give us his eyes to see. So if you're with me right now, I just want you to close your eyes and just kind of just say this to yourself. To make this a plea. And he will answer this, and he will give you those heaven's eyes. Open my eyes so I can see the heavenly hosts surrounding me. Open my ears so I can hear the sound of heaven. You are ever near. Oh, give me heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Oh, give me heaven's eyes, oh, heaven's eyes. Oh, give me heaven's ears, oh, heaven's ears. Oh, give me heaven's ears, oh, heaven's ears. Open my eyes so I can see the heavenly hosts surrounding me. That's taken from Elijah, where there was more with us than are with them, but you can't see it. So lots of times you get afraid and you turn and you run because you can't see who is actually with you.
And they were asking him, why is it that you feel so confident about this? And he says, because there are more with us than there are with them.
Yeah, there are more with us, and there are always more with you. You can't see it.
Furious Man says, yep, when you're fighting, you need to be sober-minded and guarded. If the devil can do harm, he can pull 2 or 3 off the front to deal with the wounded. Net effect is -3 or -4, less to fight him.
So March 2nd, I wrote this down of this year. Fight, curse, bless, rejoice, praise, teach. Call those things that be not as though they were. Judge to bring justice. Thank. Wait and be patient. Endure. Stand and be steadfast. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God who freely gives. Find out what you are dealing with, then apply the right tool. God has given us everything we need to spread his kingdom and for life and godliness. The modern church just likes praise. It likes walking around with one foot saying, hey, I got a toe. I like to give this, or I like to praise God, or I like to do that. But really, this is a big part, but without the rest of you, you're just hopping around. You need the full body, fitly joined together. Somebody says, peace be still to the storm. Somebody says, be removed to the mountain. Somebody's walking on water, and that's what happened with the revolution. That's what happened during the time of Constantine, and that's what happened during the initial spreading of the gospel. Jesus trained 12 and all of Christendom. was created from 12 disciples that went out fully equipped with the gospel of Jesus Christ. We can grow the kingdom of God as a fitly joined body and as a whole person, yet multiple one body of Christ. We can't all be praisers all the time going around the city. Some of us have to fight. Some of us have to pray. Some of us have to prophesy. And some of us will be martyrs and stand fast. Don't look at others and say, I wish I had their gift. Find out what yours is and use it.
That's good.
And use it. This is a song that I don't know if we've actually sung, but I'm going to let Michelle read it. It's one of her favorite songs.
Got 'em on my knees again. Got 'em begging, please again. I need you. Oh, I need you. Walking down these desert roads, water for my thirsty soul. I need you. Oh, I need you. Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. It's like the sound of a symphony to my ears. Oh, it's like holy water on my skin. Dead men walking, slave to sin. I want to know about being born again. I need you. Oh, I need you. Take me to the riverside. Take me under baptize. I need you. Oh, I need you. Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. Like the sound of a symphony to my ears. Oh, it's like holy water on my skin. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes me want to change. Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. Like the sound of a symphony to my ears. Oh, it's like holy water on my skin. It's like holy water on my skin. Oh, it's like holy water. Your forgiveness is like sweet, sweet honey on my lips. Like the sound of a symphony to my ears. Oh, it's like holy water on my skin. Oh, it's like holy water on my skin. It's like holy water on my skin.
Here we go. I don't want to abuse your grace.
I don't want to abuse your grace. God, I need it every day. It's the only thing that ever really makes
words here aren't right on that part.
I believe it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of my favorite songs. It's not one of my favorite songs that I do well, but I enjoy it and I enjoy singing it. But I don't think it matters. God listens to the heart of the song, and you played that really well. So
yeah,
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Got another song?
I don't know.
Song day?
I don't know. Why? I don't know.
Dale Jones says, I sent my mother's absentee ballot out priority mail October 19th and mailed it directly from the post office after paying $7.75 for delivery, and it still has not arrived at City Hall 10 miles from me.
Wow.
Dale, that's unbelievable.
His holy name, sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I'll worship your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, I'll worship his holy name. Sing like never before. Whoa, my soul, I'll worship your holy name. You're rich in love and you're slow to anger. Your name is great and your heart is kind. For all your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, I'll worship his holy name. Sing like never before. Whoa, my soul, I'll worship your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, I'll worship his holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I'll worship your holy name. I'll worship your holy name. I'll worship your holy name.
The dog had to go potty and then she didn't go.
I figured that's what would happen. She just does that. That's what she does.
But I left the door open so she can go back out. Could we please pray the Lord's Prayer? Have the Lord's Prayer on air. I have no problem with that request. We'll do it after this one.
He was shut up like Jonah in the belly of a whale. He knew that was the plan from the first day he set sail. He knew the price, he knew the cost of our salvation, and he didn't you know that's how the story goes. 1, 2, 3, oh, I give you my life willingly. I'll live it for you, and I'll be all that you want me to be. And I'll do it for you. And you and them, well, I'll do it for you. And you and them, and I'll do it for you. And you and them, and I'll do it for you. 'Cause you did it for me. You did it for me. You did it for me. You did it for me.
Go ahead.
Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth here as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen. Now, I hate to switch gears. They have asked me, something has happened.
What's happened?
I know.
Another person been beheaded. Come on, y'all.
Let's see.
We can only handle so many
Barry says,
beheadings.
Michelle, I just sent you a breaking story in your messenger. Possible international incident in English Channel involving an oil tanker and a stowaway military and police intercepting it. They think it might be terrorist related.
Oh, wow.
Jim West says 16 SBS troopers went on board. Britt Bod says, Michelle, British Special Boat Service and police intercepting it now.
Wow.
Carrie says, Michelle, please get Boz's message and let us all know. Let me see. I can pull, all it is a YouTube video. I can pull it up, but if it's a 20-minute long video, I can't watch it. I don't even think I can watch a 6-minute video because we need to get going. But I could start it out and play it. So hang on, let me switch screens here and paste and go. Here we go, and we will. Leah, you can listen, or you're gonna go put your guitar away. Here, I need to get here. Let me trade you because the other earbuds are wrapped around Sailor's collar, and I can't get them. So we only have one set anyway.
For real, where's Sailor?
I'm not kidding.
Outside?
He's right here.
Okay,
he's right here. I just got to bend down and get it. So let me press play here, and y'all can listen to that while I get this straightened out here.
Yeah, this is a crude oil tanker, large vessel, some 228 meters long, carrying 42,000 tons of crude oil. It left Nigeria last week, headed for Southampton when this incident occurred. Certainly, according to the marine traffic site that we've been monitoring going in on the voyage that vessel has been making, it shows that it has been making a number of zigzags around the area just off the Isle of Wight, and that this vessel, the Nave Andromeda, had taken a direction just recently heading towards France. It's now heading back towards UK waters again, according to the latest info that I'm seeing from the Marine Traffic website. Now, what we know is confirmation from Hampshire Police that they are dealing with an incident in the English Channel involving a vessel at the moment. They're still trying to establish the exact circumstances of what's happened, but sources have told us that the incident involves a number of stowaways. We believe at least half a dozen stowaways that were discovered on this vessel at some point today. A security incident has then unfolded. Now, there are reports that the crew are sheltering in secure areas off the ship. Now, certainly it would appear that that might be the bridge. This is a secure area on board a ship. Crew can lock the area around the bridge, and from what we're seeing from the marine traffic information that we've been able to take a look at, the track that this vessel has been taken, it certainly looks as though it is quite a methodical zigzag motion that it's being that really has undertaken in the last couple of hours or so. We know that there is a Coast Guard search and rescue helicopter up over the scene. Hampshire Police have their own helicopter up in the area over the Isle of Wight as well. And in terms of the incident, as I say, it involves, we believe, up to at least half a dozen stowaways discovered on this vessel. We understand that the crew are sheltering in secure locations. We don't know if any crew members have been injured or unaccounted for at this stage. It's still the very early stages of what is unfolding here in the English Channel. It is clearly a serious incident that is unfolding. Authorities, including the Coast Guard, police, and potentially the military may be involved at some point as well, depending on how this incident unfolds in the coming hours.
Okay.
And do we know how long this has been going on for?
I can read you the incident has now been resolved. 7 people have been detained following a security incident on an oil tanker. Police said earlier that verbal threats had been made to the crew of the native Andromeda, but no one had been reported injured. The incident is now over. They got an argument about a dog that got loose. Sky News defense correspondent Alistair Bunkall said special boat service commandos boarded the vessel to regain control. He added that the operation had been pretty swift, what is known in military terms as a flash to bang. Maritime expert told Sky News that it was over in 7 minutes. Sky News correspondent said 16 SBS personnel boarded the tanker. The incident lasted 10 hours. All crew are made safe and accounted for. The vessel went into an erratic zigzagging pattern around 10:45 a.m. So it was pretty interesting there. And BBC News has nothing about it. Only Sky. So
that's an excellent roundup of that incident. Short-lived, but very serious. Mm-hmm. So, all right. Thank you for sharing. It's like
there was a sibling argument on the tanker.
That's exactly what happened.
And they had to call in the SBS,
the Special Boat Service. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. So thank you guys for being here. For those of you that stayed all the way to the end, past the singing, you love us very much. And we love you guys too. So,
stick with us this week.
We will be here on Wednesday for our Revelation Red Pill Academy 12. This topic is secret right now. Okay, but then you will not want to miss Friday's show. I have to tell you, this week of news is going to be explosive. If stuff happens in the middle of the week, we may come to you live in the middle of the week. I know Amy Coney Barrett is going to be confirmed tomorrow.
So I'll probably do a show on that.
Somebody said that's Hillary Clinton's birthday, and the irony of that is really funny. Just saying. I think that's awesome. So we've got more of the Hunter Biden stuff coming out every single day. We've got Wandering Joe in the background with his wife speaking. President Obama was trying to speak, and all of these Trump horns were blaring, and it's just...
There's a surge of Trump support. It's everywhere. All my friends are going on these Trump rallies, and not even put together by Trump. Just random people like, you know what?
We're just getting in our car. We're hanging a flag in the back. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I'll end the show. If you want to know what it's like in America right now, trucks driving around with Trump flags and American flags on the back of their cars. That's what it's like in America right now. And he's going to win by a landslide, guys. You heard it here first. And you won't want to miss next Tuesday, not this Tuesday. Next Tuesday evening is election night. And we will be doing some sort of coverage. I don't know, probably late. Just kind of having fun. We're going to throw a little party just for ourselves here. Okay, we're signing off. As always, remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory if it's actually the truth. Please like, comment, and subscribe to both of our channels, Mass Faith 3 and Resistance Chicks. Ring the bell so you get notifications. Find us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Patriot Gallery gave us a list of all the places that we are at. If you want to know where that is, you can look in the description on our YouTube videos. But you can also find us on resistancechicks.com, where we upload our podcast, which I haven't done the past 2 shows on there yet, but I will, because you can take the podcast with you and it doesn't wear down your battery on your cell phone nearly as much as the YouTube videos do. So, all right, you guys are wonderful. We have a PO box.
Thank you, Knowledge Quest.
He says, thank you kindly. You are truly doing God's work. Well, amen, amen, amen. Okay, we'll see you guys back here on Wednesday.
Adios, amigos.
muchachos.
Well, they just said amigos, so.
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.